All right, awesome intro, by the way. I always love that song, by the way.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent song.
How's it going, everybody? Happy Monday. Today, September the 15th, 2025. We are getting closer to spooky season, and it is the fall. It's officially the fall, I would say, right? We're in autumn already. I would say
Um,
maybe
about
not. We're
7 more days.
7 more days. Okay.
Yeah, 7 more days after the
So
21st.
So for some people like myself who live in South Texas, we're still suffering from 100-degree temperatures. I think right now it says on my Pixel 10 Pro device that is 93 degrees outside, but it definitely feels hotter because of the humidity. So hopefully everyone's having a good week so far. Happy Monday. A lot of stuff went down last week, obviously, that was very in the media, stuff that I'm not going to get into, but definitely things that opened a lot of people's eyes, right? So hopefully
Yeah.
everyone's doing good though. Tito, man, how's it going? How was your weekend, man?
Like I told you earlier, man, it's pretty
Yeah.
good. For anyone out there who may be interested in The Conjuring Last Rites, it was a pretty decent movie because I
Yeah.
took my kids to see it this weekend, so it was pretty fun. Um, Other than that, I think this Sunday I am going to said person's memorial or his
hmm
service. They're going to have it here at the State Farm Arena, and so I'm actually going to go.
Wait, okay, hold on. So yeah, so that said person's service, they're gonna have one in your area.
Well,
Uh,
he's being buried here.
oh wow, okay, that I didn't know. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, he lives here. So
Wow, I don't know he was from that area of the country. I don't know if you want to reveal that or not. Obviously, I mean it's
yeah,
public.
no, we'll keep it out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's I don't want to taint your podcast or
Yeah,
anything
no,
like
no, it's
that.
okay. We can talk about a little bit of it before we get into like the main subject. But yeah, main subject would be obviously like the new Pixel and iPhone devices, which one you guys are copying, which one you guys don't want to cop. For those of you who come into the stream today, if not, let us know in the comment section down below if you would rather get the Pixel 10 devices or the newer iPhone. I guess what is it, the 20? Are they changing the names of it? It's the 17 Pro Max, right? I believe it's
Yeah,
the operating system though, or the OS that's going to change
yeah,
the name. So that's going to go from like it's what iOS 26 now. It's going to go by the year now, I guess. I believe so.
yeah. We're the year
Anyways,
ahead. The year ahead.
anyways,
Apple.
um, yeah,
No.
no, I mean that's definitely it. But yeah, man,
I mean, I have it on my iPhone 12, the iOS
you
26
have it, yeah.
betas, but
Oh yeah, no, I haven't upgraded that on my iPhone 13 Pro just yet, man. Unfortunately, waiting for you have beta, right? You said right?
yeah, it's still beta for me. I think what in 4 days is when it fully launches out on the 19th,
Oh, okay.
the same day when the iPhone 17s are released available for purchase.
Yeah, no, mine has still iOS 18.6.2, so we'll see what's up. Looks like we got a few people in the chat. Eric, aka Jared, in the house. What's going on, man? How's it going? Happy Monday, by the way. Um, okay, I'm blanking out. I forgot what I was gonna say though. But yeah, man, oh man. Anyways, hopefully everyone's doing good, man. I'm kind of recovering from the weekend myself, man. I like worked all weekend. I had like a 4 day work weekend. Like I did like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday straight, and then I had like a wedding shower to go to like last night.
Yeah.
For family, so that was like a couple of hour event, and then like afterwards, after eating like a bunch of Mexican food, I decided, hey, let's go home after the event and play DDR for 2 hours. So,
What?
yeah. So I was actually streaming DDR last night on TikTok live. So I played for about. I was only going to play for like an hour, but some people joined on the chat, so I ended up staying on a little bit longer. So I was like, fuck, like I can't disappoint the watchers over here. You know what I mean? So I was like,
Yeah.
I decided to play a little more, and I didn't stop until about 11:45 my time. So a little more than 2 hours. I played probably like 2 hours, a little over 2 hours, but man, tiring. And luckily, I was like, the only reason why I did it though is because I knew I was off today. That's it. So interesting comment over here by Eric Jared saying, "Go
Go
Android,
Android.
go
No
fruit
fruit.
phones." Some people might take that. Some people might take that in another way. You know what I mean?
It's revived the war between Android and iOS, specifically Pixel and iPhone,
Yeah.
but it's revived it, and the battle is on a different front, I'm gonna tell people
Influenza.
warning. If you are sensitive to opinions, then I would suggest not listen to, especially what I'm gonna say, because I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say exactly how it is. Um, so yeah, where do you want to start with all this?
Anywhere you want to, man. Honestly, I would just, I mean, obviously, I mean, I feel like you're. To be honest, I feel even though I have like both Android and the fruit devices over here, the fruity
The
devices,
fruit, like
the
iPhone.
fruit devices, the iPhone. I definitely always love to hear your opinions and thoughts about it because I know you use both, and then I'll give you mine, I
Yeah.
guess, on the actual like usage and like capabilities of the devices and your user experience, etc., like that. So for me, I'll go ahead and let you go first, man.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So I guess where I want to kind of start with this is I want to strip away what I call the BS. Okay, so comparing basically
Hmm.
these two devices on the premise of how their launch events went, that's irrelevant. The fact that Google tried to do a talk show with Jimmy Fallon versus a
Yeah.
pre-recorded Tim Cook doing his usual shtick, that doesn't tell the tale of both of these phones. So when people kind of take to social media to argue about it, and they're like, "Oh, well, Apple's greater because they know how to do a tech event," it's like you can know how to do a tech event and still sell the crappiest tech out there. So that's irrelevant.
Hmm.
So we'll throw that off to the side, and then we'll kind of just focus in on like what's being brought here. And there's a point that a lot of people are missing because they immediately love to just run and argue on social media. Like
Hmm.
that's like the first thing that I guess people tend to want to do. And so it's just like, hey, yep, you need to take a step back because these are two different machines with two different end goals.
Yep.
You have Apple, and they, and I'll be honest, they had to do what they did with the iPhone 17. They are falling behind. And it's not to say that they're a crappy company, it's just the reality of things. They are falling behind. So, of course, it was great hearing, on the event where it's like the iPhone 17 is going to remain $799, but with 256 in, internal storage as the base amount. It's like good. They're pushing the chapter to where in 2026 we're going to start seeing 256 as the base for most Android phones out there, right? Because they're going to obviously they want to compete. So this is a great move by Apple to do that. Um, they started, with the 48 megapixel fusion camera, the main sensor, and then 48 megapixel ultra wide on this on the
Hmm.
base 17, and then of course you got triple on the Pro models at the same 48 megapixels.
Yeah.
So they beefed up for the camera. Um, they brought in ProMotion on the base model that could do a refresh from 1 hertz to 120 hertz, which is great. Like these are all welcome changes that I think a lot of iPhone users are really going to appreciate. Um, the whole center stage selfie cam, where they're using a square sensor rather than a rectangular sensor in the selfie cam, so you can take portrait or landscape without having to divert your phone from landscape to portrait, right? You could just do it straight from it in portrait. And I think that's a great idea. I can see that or something similar to that being adopted by Android manufacturers here in the coming future. But when people start saying things of like, it cooks the Pixel 10, like we got to pump the brakes. We
Hmm.
got to definitely pump the brakes there because whether, Apple fans want to admit it or not, AI is the future. I'm not just tossing it out there to toss it out there. It really
Yeah.
is. Everything that you see today and everything everywhere that you go, AI has an implementation in things. This is something that I've been vocal about with even AI taking jobs. Like majority of white collar jobs could be snatched up by AI, and like 40% of blue collar jobs could be snatched over by AI. So AI is the future, and Google is
Hmm.
leading in that.
Yeah.
Where I hate to say it when people start arguing on social media between iPhone 17 and Pixel 10, and that one person asks an Apple user, "So tell me about Apple Intelligence," and crickets. But it's not. it's
Mhm.
not like, superly bad on Apple's fault. I don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes with Apple to say why hasn't Apple Intelligence come yet. Like
Yeah.
they've talked about it for 2 years. They didn't make mention of it at this keynote event all too much. Like they barely spoke about it. And with all the hidden news behind the scene, it's like, I mean, for you to have any form of like AI usage on your iPhone, you're using Chat GPT. But then there's also talks of Apple communicating with Google on, adopting some form of Gemini onto iPhone. So it's like Apple really
Mhm.
has no clear vision for AI for its users just yet. Google does. So really, when it comes down between these two, the Pixel and the iPhone, I look at it like this: they are two different machines with two different end goals currently at this time. So
Yeah.
it's just really which of it matters most to you. If AI features matters most to you, of course, Pixel's going to have your back on that. But if you want more internal storage for a cheaper price, you want better, like better video camera, right? Because Pixels is still dominant when it comes to still photography. Apple still has it for videos. If you want that center stage feature, um, then you're going to go with Apple, which clearly by me with these devices, if you were to ask me if I had to choose an Apple device from this year, it would be the iPhone 17 because it does have more of the value, more
Yeah.
storage, stays at the same price. Updated camera sensors, the center stage selfie cam. It's got all that. It's got a
Mhm.
ProMotion, better battery life, faster charging. These are things that are very welcomed for an upgrade from like the iPhone
Mhm.
16. So
Yeah.
I would choose the 17. Um, the fall that Apple takes here, and like myself, other tech creators are kind of thinking about this too, is the point of the iPhone Air, which
Yeah.
I think we should get into that a little bit later. But
Yeah, yeah,
um,
no, that's fine.
I'll give you the ground with your Pixel 10 and iPhone because you pre-order an iPhone
I
17
did
or
not pre-order anything yet, so I thought about it. I was like, I'm still kind of on the edge of like going with the pro model or just going with the base model. Um, obviously I could use it as a tax write-off for my YouTube because I honestly probably have spent more money this year on tech devices than what I make in YouTube
Mhm.
on in a year anyway. So I'd probably get money back, uh, which is what I normally get either way. But anyways, I want to kind of go into the AI talk a little bit, even though that's not really something like a familiar territory that I usually go into, right? Because I don't
Yeah.
typically use AI. But when you were mentioning, oh, obviously, Apple's version of it not coming out yet, they're still kind of like they didn't make mention of it, even though Google, has been kind of one of the top leaders in that over the last couple of years already. And I
Mm.
just find it interesting because, like, you would think, why doesn't Apple just partner with them in some way? And, just like they do with, like, I think, don't they partner with Samsung on some things when it comes to like their screens and
Yeah, yeah,
internal,
they do for
hardware?
displays, but they are though. I mean,
So,
there's already talks that
yeah.
Apple's actually in communications with
Yeah.
Google to use
So
Gemini.
so that's the thing, man. Like as far as like an implementation into the iPhones, like I don't think anyone that's an Apple user is going to be like, "Oh, hey, like, this is horrible. Like this is a bad thing, right?" But at the same time, I get why they want to come out with their own so that they don't have to piggyback off of, another platform or software company and have to pay them, in order for
Hmm.
users to use that have that experience, right? But it's just like, with apps like Twitter, for instance, right? Literally, a lot of apps like Facebook, Twitter, they all have AI now, right? There is some sort of
Yeah.
AI feature within these apps that you can chat with somebody from AI. If you want to make a friend on Snapchat or whatever, you can chat with a Snapchat person. Same thing with Instagram, same thing with Facebook, or if you want to go and ask questions,
Hmm.
literally like every major app platform that's like social media, at least I don't know about others, has some sort of AI implemented into it. So like you can go onto Grok on Twitter and be like, hey,
Grok.
create this for me or whatever, or you can go ask it
Yeah.
questions. So I feel like at this point, Apple, trying to get into it. It is late, but I understand because like usually when they come up with something, it's at the point of perfection already, where they don't have to tweak around with it too much. They don't have to throw out a bunch of beta versions of it or anything like that to kind of get the grasp of it right. They want once they put something out there, they want it to work. And that's
Right.
been my experience as far as like an Apple user, right? Like the reason why I kind of gravitate to having an iPhone as my daily driver is because I really don't have a lot of issues, right? It's not so much
Right.
the customization of the device. I mean, now even though like there's more options on customization on Apple now, right? Skins,
Yeah.
whatever. It's still definitely not the same as you could do with Google devices or Android devices, right? But still, at the end of the day, people are going to have their preference on what they want to use, right? For me, again, it's just user experience, right? I still, even with an older device, right? I can tell you right now that my iPhone 13 Pro feels like it performs better than my Google Pixel 10 Pro. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's saying something, right? From a device that I've had for like almost 5 years already.
Oh
That
yeah.
Apple, they definitely support their devices when it comes to the software. All of the everything that comes out with it, basically. I'm glad I've had the support that I've had with this device. I know I won't be getting much of it in the next couple of years. That's why I kind of need to upgrade now. But it's like,
Yeah.
user experience. Like, I never have issues with my camera apps. I never have issues with just apps in general. Like, they usually have it down when it comes to the apps that you can download,
Yeah.
on the platform. So that for me, that's why I've been kind of stuck with iOS, and not stuck, I would say, but it's just
Preferred.
preferred. It's
Yeah.
when I'm doing my gig work, right? I feel like I haven't tried it on any of my Android devices, but I feel like if I were to like do like Uber Eats or like um like I do Walmart Spark and or I don't do Amazon Flex, but I have access to Amazon Flex. But I feel like I don't know, it just would not be as a great of experience on Android. I could be wrong though. You know what I mean? I mean,
You actually gave yourself a
I
really
should
good
do it.
video
Yeah, yeah, I should do it, right? But
just to like test it out and see
yeah,
if like your Pixel 10 Pro can
yeah,
can hang with the iPhone 13 Pro Max as
yeah,
far as gig work. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
Michael pretty much like posted that the comment like he didn't expect the iPhone 17 would move to 256 before the
yeah,
Pixels did, and it's like I'm glad that Apple
mhm,
did. Somebody, in my opinion,
yeah,
somebody had to do it to force the other guys to do it.
yeah,
That's what I'm gonna say on that. And I'm glad it's Apple because whether people love Apple or hate
mhm,
Apple, you have to admit though, Apple is still a key influencer on other OEMs out there. So for them to do it, whether they had to do it or they just chose to do it, honestly, I feel like they had to do it because Apple's never really given you anything for free. I mean, they kind of still play to their Apple ways when it comes to the iPhone Air, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But um, I feel like I said,
they're in the business of making money, just like
yes,
WWE over here.
yes. But the thing with Apple is, even if they had to do it to stay caught up, right? Because the last two iterations of iPhones released, people would say was a bit lackluster. I mean, you even had guys like Tech Odyssey calling them ripoffs because they were very minor bumps and upgrades, and then of course, so that way they would remain relevant to the competition, like Samsung and Google. They talked about Apple Intelligence, which is still not a thing, and they talked about Siri 2.0, which was supposed to be this year that you guys got it, but
I
it's
thought they
still
were
not ready.
scrapping Siri. I thought they were getting rid of that completely.
No, it's
Not
it's
yet.
it's to be released next year, 2026, along
Oh,
with Apple Intelligence. And
gotcha, gotcha.
I agree with you. I wouldn't want Apple to really have some sort of joint partnership with Google when it comes to AI, having them use Gemini and stuff like that, because I
Mhm.
know they're gonna bump heads. Eventually, they
Yeah,
will bump heads because everything with Android is open source. They don't like to lock things down. Well, I take that back because there is something that Google's doing that is an Apple move. I guess we'll talk about it later too, but
mhm.
for the most part, they don't like to lock things down, and Apple likes to lock things down. They like certain things to be just for an iPhone, and that originally, like I've said before, way before we had the Android phones, the iPhone wars. Technically, with Steve Jobs at the helm of Apple, the two young ambitious guys who basically bought Android from the guys who originally developed it, they initially were building the software for the iPhone
Mm.
until they had a clash of
Yeah.
how they wanted the operating system to be, and thus the two young guys who you guys know are the founders of of Android. Those guys went ahead to go on and partner with with Google and go on to build Android operating systems for anybody out there who built the hardware for it.
Hmm.
And Apple released iOS on their devices, so they will not mesh well. Google and Apple will never
Yeah.
mesh
I
well.
mean,
So
I just hope it's not to the point like, where I don't know if you remember when like, I think Apple was starting to like move off the YouTube app from their phones and whatnot, or like any Google apps from their app store, right? You know what I mean? And vice versa, right? I mean, it's not like you can go and like download Apple like apps from on the Play Store, right? I mean, it's just something that I haven't
yeah,
seen. Have you seen
no,
that?
they won't. They won't
Yeah.
take that away. YouTube,
So
a lot of
yeah,
Google services on iPhones will not go away at all
yeah.
whatsoever. I mean, Apple's happy to take Google's money in order to host their apps for their phones. They have no problems with that at all whatsoever. It's a pretty good deal for them. But when it comes to Gemini and AI, I mean, yeah, there's going to be some point of views that Apple has and that they're going to want that Google's going to say no to. So Apple building AI from the ground up is their best bet. I just whatever it is that's holding them back from doing it properly. I mean, if it's like the engineering team is not coming up with results, fire them all, hire all new ones. I mean,
Right.
it's bad for the Apple intelligence development when Meta is poaching AI software engineers from Apple. Like they are
Yeah.
taking some of their developers over to Meta. Meta is recently attacking Apple.
Mhm.
What's his face? Mark Zuckerberg's
Mark
very,
Zuckerberg.
yeah, he's been very vocal about it. So I mean, we know that's where it's going. It's going to AI. So Apple, let's stop joking around. Like I love the fact that they did all these beef ups to the 17 and the 17 Pro, but let's start getting some more of their promises like met, because people know you don't buy tech based on the promise of tomorrow. So they got to get on board and start getting things rolling for them on that. Um, but iPhone Air. Oh my god, where do I go with this one? Oh man,
I
what are
mean
your thoughts on it?
the I mean, I definitely don't hate the design. I think it's just the price point of it. You know what I mean? But I think I was mentioning it like on one of my streams, saying like there's like I love the design and the concept, right? I don't care that it has only one camera sensor. Like if you're gonna price the phone over $1,000 that only has one camera sensor, like you might as well just buy the iPhone 16e, right? Because you're gonna get basically the same performance. I think the only difference is what they have the same chip in the Pro versions,
Yeah,
or the Pro XL versions. So it's like, like to me, it's like not gonna make much of a difference, honestly. Yes, is it cool to have a thin device, but like at this point, you might as well just buy a foldable device, right? Go buy like a Samsung Flip or something if you want a thinner phone, right? Something smaller to put in your pocket, I guess. Like, I mean, cool that it's like made out of like what, titanium or some
yeah,
sort
it's
of metal
titanium.
that's not metal. That's not metal, but to have the iPhone Air made out of titanium and not the Pro Series models made out of titanium, it's like what the fuck, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like it's like inconsistent with like what you're doing with some of the devices, right? Especially at the price points. Like
yeah.
I mean that's my opinion on it. Though. I really,
I think
yeah,
it's a lot of people's opinions on that. I mean, that's what doesn't make sense.
yeah,
Like I mean, for people who ask me what my opinion is on the iPhone Air, to me,
yeah,
currently right now, the iPhone Air is an Apple novelty. So it's not something that I would say is like revolutionary and groundbreaking and to be around for the foreseeable future, unless people actually buy this thing. If they don't, it's going to hit
yeah,
the Apple graveyard the same as the Mini and as the Plus, because the Plus and Minis are gone. Um, but yeah, the pricing is what a lot of us are really questioning. Like, I mean, cool. Yeah, very skinny phone. I mean, if I was to joke around, I would say, my Pixel 6 is a skinny phone, or my Pixel 4 XL is a skinny phone because they're relatively thinner
Yeah.
than the Pixel 9s and 10s. Um, the fact is that it has like what, a 3100 milliamp hour battery. So, considering it may get better battery than like an iPhone 10 or 10s or 10s Max,
Mm.
sort of, yeah. But that's about as far as it's gonna go. The fact that Apple, and I caught this at their event, they just said all day battery, but with the iPhone Air, they never gave specifics of how much battery, which they tend to do for their other stuff, right? Like the iPhone 17, they said it had like what, like 36% more battery than the 16, and with
Mm.
the Pro models, they said it was like 36 or 38% more. So they go into detail with the battery with the base and Pro model, but with the iPhone Air, it's like, oh yeah, it's got all day battery. And it's like you're waiting for the statistics that they're going to throw at you, and then nothing came, and you're like, wait a minute. So like, all day battery as to what? Like never touching the phone, like turning it on at 100%, leaving it on your desk so it could be a display, never interacting with it. Like, does that get you all day battery? Or if you're just only doing social media, that gets you all day battery? Like, like where? Like, give us something, right?
Mm.
And so then I knew that the phone wasn't going to have the best battery the moment that they unveiled that there was a specific battery pack for the iPhone Air that cost $100. So in reality, you're paying $999 for the iPhone Air. So that's $1,000. That's basically like $200 more than the iPhone 17 for a device that's super skinny, has only one camera sensor, and then if you really want to get like really good battery life with it, well, then they suggest that you buy the power pack for $100. So you're basically paying $1,100 just to have a decent battery life and good experience with a very thin phone.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you could save you the headaches of spending that much money and just get the 17 base, which has two cameras, has way better battery life.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like when people were just like, "How do I feel about the Air?" To me, the Air is a novelty. It's like like the fan edition from Samsung, being that it's something that Apple's going to say if it's not successful, they're going to say, well, this is something of the Apple legacy that diehard Apple fans are going to want in their collection to say that they have it, but nothing more than that right now. It's just a novelty. So I think out of their lineup of phones, I honestly feel like that the 17 is going to sell a lot more for
Yeah.
what you're going to get for it. And then it'll be followed up by the Pro models hitting second and third place, and the iPhone Air in fourth place as far as sales. That's how I feel like it's going to go. I think of all, the 17 is like the better value. So that's what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean. Yeah, that's how I feel it's going to go.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like I don't see a lot of people, buying the Air version. I think we'll see a flood of YouTubers that are gonna get the Air device just to make videos on them, right? But other than
Yeah.
that, like most people will not get it. At least I wouldn't. You know what I mean? I definitely wouldn't want to because again, like why do you have to buy a battery pack for a freaking $1,000 fucking phone? I don't know. Like that's why I kind of stayed away from like any Air versions of like their laptops back in the day.
Yeah.
Just because I knew that that was gonna be a possibility of having, which is crazy. I don't know why, but let's see. I wanted to go to the Apple website to see the pricing because I know that the iPhone regular iPhone 17s are really the least expensive, but I don't see plus models of these. So are they not
No,
doing plus models this year of
no,
these?
that's why I said they got rid of Plus and Mini. So the
Yeah,
Plus
so
models, the Mini models, they're gone.
mini, yeah, that's understandable, but let's see. I think they upped the screen on these ones a little bit though. No, they used to be a 6.1 inch, and now they're
They're
what, 6.3.
6.3.
So
Yeah, they made
they're
it.
like about the same size as the Pixel 10 series devices, the non XL versions. Uh,
Yeah, basically, like in a nutshell,
a
to
little bit
anyone out
bigger.
there, Apple, like all like the last 2 years of criticisms that Google has done to Apple with the best phones forever campaign that they were doing. Apple was like just sitting there taking notes, like, okay, this is what people complain about Pixels: large bezels, 128 storage,
Yeah,
battery life not that great. Okay, this is what we'll do to our iPhone 17. We're gonna give it
yeah,
shrunk down bezels and a 6.3-inch display. We're gonna give it starting at 256 of internal storage.
there
That's
you go.
double what Pixel has, and we're gonna give it this much battery along with the A19 chip. That's really good at power efficiency. So, you know, they're gonna. I mean, battery life is gonna be really, really good on the iPhone 17. You can't argue that, and I'm a Pixel
Yeah,
fan telling people that you can't argue it.
and they
I
finally
mean,
have 120 hertz display.
yep, the ProMotion. I mean, so
Yeah,
for me as a tech user, the ProMotion, I could care two left testicles about. I really don't
yeah, you
care.
really
I
won't
keep my
notice it.
screens, I keep my screens on 60 hertz. The thing that I care about most, and like, so people could say that I'm not being biased. I'm gonna crap all over Pixel right now. Okay,
Mhm.
one, the 128 gig storage. I
Yeah,
agree with a lot of people. That should not be the base anymore because we have all this AI power and things that we can build with AI and Gemini.
mhm.
If I was to build something using Gemini Pro, how am I going to store it without running out of space so quickly? 128
Yeah.
is it doesn't work anymore. We have larger apps with more data consumption, like as far as storage. Um, so you probably put maybe 16, 17 apps into your Pixel that are like like high storage usage, and you're already at 80% of your capacity storage. And
This is
what
my
we do have,
capacity right now, by the way. I've already used up almost 70. It says 77 gigabytes used out of the 128. So I already have more than
yeah,
half
it's
used. And that's only because I've only taken a few videos on the
yeah, I
device.
mean,
So it's like
I'll show you
no
I'll show
pictures.
you where I'm at with my storage, man. I'll show you exactly where I'm at with my storage, and
Yeah.
it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. So right now, and by mind you, I just, after backing up all these videos I've edited to my hard drive, I'm sitting at 65%,
Yeah.
65 gigs used out of
Hmm.
128. So I'm sitting a little bit above, about 50%. And it's like, back in the day when 128 was just out there,
Yeah.
you could have like a bunch of apps with a bunch of photos, a bunch of videos saved, and maybe only use 34% of your storage. It's
Yeah.
not like that. So, I mean, that's one nitpick thing that I would say that, Google kind of dropped the ball. And that's Google's fashion too, right? Like, I mean, I'm a Pixel fan, but I'm gonna call it like it is. Google seems to just always drop the ball. It's like they get the ball rolling and it's like, oh, you finally are moving and you're finally getting market share. And do they continue on that path to grow? Like, no, it's like they celebrate getting a small marginal increase of market share, like as if they dominated the whole
Hmm.
mobile tech scene, and then they drop the ball. Like, come on, they could have been the first to 256. I mean, that if Google Pixel 10 started at 256 base storage at $799, that would have been it. Like, Apple could have dropped the iPhone 17 exactly the way they spec'd it, and it wouldn't make a dent. The Galaxy S25 starts out at 128. So 8 months ago, that wouldn't even have made a dent. But they have like Google's like blissful idiots. they get they
Hmm.
get people on their side, right? They had so much hype behind the Pixel 10. They had so many people interested in it. I mean, leak after leak after leak, and that's all you really got was videos from creators just talking about it, including myself. So you had all this hype build up, and then you fumble because you think, well, we could do 128 as the base storage for one more year. And then here comes your competitor, 256. And it's like, me, I want to know, how is Google going to keep doing that best phones forever? Because
Yeah.
yeah, we can say that Apple Intelligence is not a thing and make it into a laughable meme, like ha 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 ha. Okay, but at the same time, they can look at you and say, "Well, you don't have the storage to save your AI creations." Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Like it's
That,
just
I mean, yeah, that could be a thing for like next year's devices. Like it'll be a storage war instead of like AI. They'll be like, who could have the most memory on this device, right? That's hilarious.
it's like Pixels,
Yeah.
man. What were they doing? And then the 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 other thing that kind of pisses me off about Pixels is like video boost, right? Like, I mean, that was going to
Yeah.
be a game changer, like game changer. And
Hmm.
like even I was like sold into the hype from it. But when they unveiled the Pixel 10s and then they talked about video boost,
Yeah.
and I researched it and found out, oh, this is all cloud done. So like the
Yeah.
reason why it takes
Not on the
hours for
phone.
your
Yeah.
video process is because actually it's uploaded to the cloud where
Yeah.
all that editing takes place in the cloud automatically
Hmm.
by Gemini and then downloaded back to your phone.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
are you
basically just
kidding
like,
me?
yeah. No, yeah, that's why when it gives me the option to do video boost, I don't do it because I'm just like, what's the point? Like I tried doing it with the 8K raw video that I took, and I uploaded the actual raw video from that. I didn't do
Yeah,
the boosted video just because I wanted to show what it looks like without any type of like editing or whatever. But it's like
yeah,
I think I got the upload or the fix on that like days later. I'm talking about like 3 or 4 days later from actually taking that video because I think the file
yeah.
was like 18 gigabytes.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, dude. Yeah,
yeah,
you had to wait because I think somebody did a video boost test and
yeah,
their video size was only 5 gigs and it took them 13 hours.
yeah. That's crazy. But
So 18 gigs, woo, man. you
ooh,
were you were swinging for the franchises. But here's the sad thing about it:
yeah,
you could have a similar recording with the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max, and the boost to the video
mhm.
is done on device. So this is where I'm just like, Google, like I want to kick you in the butt right now. You send everything to the cloud and have Gemini mess with it up there for you, and iPhones could do it on device.
yeah.
So like these are the arguments that I was like literally sitting for the last couple of days just thinking, okay, what type of argument am I gonna see between Pixel fanboys and Apple fanboys? And and I started thinking all this stuff. I'm like, damn, like I can have a debate all by myself right now in my room, two podiums up, iPhone on
Hmm.
one, Pixel on the other, and I can walk back and forth and argue with myself because the true essence between these devices that people really need to understand is that one has a path this way, the other one has a path this way. And I think one of the hugest problems in the tech space today are those people with these ambitious mindsets that want a Pixel to operate exactly like an iPhone. And it's like, that's not going to happen. Same ways as people were like, I would get an iPhone if it would act like a Pixel. It's not going to happen. Like, you have to respect these things for what they are. So, I mean, if I was put both phones in front of me and said I had the choice to pick one and one only and walk away, I'm not trading in my Pixel 10 for an iPhone 17. I even though there's certain things that bugs me
Yeah,
about the Pixel 10, but at the end of the day, what I'd like to use most is a Pixel, so I would not
yeah.
trade it. In the same way, with other people, I would ask you to one day on your free time to do a performance test video between the Pixel 10 Pro and the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I'm so interested. I want to see this because
Okay.
I want people to see it too. Because, like you said, and this is just you being an
Yeah, of
Apple user and a smartphone enthusiast, and
course.
already you feel the 13 Pro Max is a more performance stable device over the Pixel 10 Pro. So
Yeah,
I think a lot of people need to see that, not to like crap on Pixels or not to try and BS on Apple, but just for people to really understand one of the things that I tend to debate people on, and that is you don't need today's current flagship devices for best experience. You can get a great
hmm.
experience with an older flagship.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no, I definitely want to do one just between the Pixel devices, like the Pixel 7 Pro and the Pixel 10 Pro. And then yeah, I definitely wanted to do something similar with like my iPhones also, where like I have the iPhone 13, or I'm sorry, the iPhone 13 Pro versus like the iPhone 16e, right? Something like that.
yeah,
I might do one today. We'll see. I've been wanting to do like some data battles, on from like the Pixel 10 Pro also versus the Pixel 7 Pro on visible versus boost, etc. Like that. You know what I mean?
yeah, man,
Just to
do
kind of
it.
like switch things up a little bit. And I still have like still have like two sets of phone cases that I need to unbox for my Pixel 10 Pro. So you know,
Oh yeah, yeah, for
yeah,
sure, man. Because I want to tell people out there, stop hating on my iPhone 12. That
yeah,
is an old phone, and it may not
yeah,
have the best battery, but you know what? When it comes to iOS, I
yeah,
love
yeah.
using it. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. And while, because I get it all ways, and I always thought like like Apple fanboys would kind of like back each other, right? So I figured if I have an iPhone 12 and like I make a review video and I have good things to say about the iPhone 12, like I thought, hey, they would be the ones not to bother me. But it seems like they're the ones who bother me. Like, oh, you're on an iPhone 12. You would have a far more better experience than an
Right.
iPhone 16. And it's like, yeah, it better be. The 16 is newer than the 12, but
For that price, yeah.
I like my 12. Like, I just photos, videos, and everything that I do on my phone. Which for most people who need to understand, I don't game on my phones. I game on my laptop and on my PC, but not on my phones. So well, my everyday to day tasks on these devices is just really reading what people that follow me and that I follow back say on social media, and then if I want to add on to it, I'll comment, and that's about it. Like, so the iPhone 12 to me is a phenomenal phone, and it's the reason I haven't saved up money to buy a newer iPhone.
Mhm.
I almost pulled the trigger for the iPhone 16e, but then I was just like, but I really like using the 12 and the dual camera, and I like the size. That's one thing my iPhone 12 beats my Pixel 10 at. The size. I love the size of this. Like if they made a Pixel this size, game over. That
It's
would be
a
like
little
the
bit
perfect phone.
smaller. Is it a
Yeah,
little bit smaller or?
yeah. It's a little bit smaller. Um,
I wouldn't say that much. Like what, 6.1 versus the 6.3? It's really not that much of a difference,
yeah,
honestly.
but
Yeah.
when I'm holding
You
the
could
iPhone
feel it in
12
hand though, yeah.
my phone, when I'm holding the iPhone 12 in
Yeah.
hand, it just feels more maneuverable to me and just feels
Yeah.
better.
Yeah,
Honestly.
like the Pixel 10 Pro does feel wider than my iPhone 13 Pro over here, so like I have them in hand right here. So, but again, that's with cases though, right? I do have like
Yeah.
somewhat of not a rugged case, but like the 2D case, like the outer edges of it are a little on the thicker side. I wouldn't say too much, but we'll see.
The the only shout out that I'll give Google is I'm happy that they didn't go overboard. Like they didn't go overboard with the oleophobic coating on their phones
Mhm.
this year around. So like, yes, I can. Like inside my house, I can walk around with my Pixel 10 without a case. I have carpeted floor. I feel fine with it like this, and it's not super
Yeah.
slick. Like
Yeah.
when Pixel 6 came out, the first time I held it and it slipped out of my hand. So I'm
Oh yeah, yeah.
thankful that Google didn't go overboard with that coating back here where it would slide out of my hand. But when I leave the house, I put a case. I'm not stupid. I ain't taking no chances. I'm not dropping this phone. So the clear case goes on so I can show off the color, but I'm already in the market looking for one of their official cases for it, which I'm trying to see if Best Buy has any that's been returned by people. So it's open box price. So instead of it being like
Okay.
$50, it'll be like $30. I'll get one of those, probably the obsidian color, just to kind of throw off the color a little bit. And then maybe
And
like what is that? The I forgot what the other brand is. One from the D brand, one of their cases. I'm thinking about picking up one where I can have them build my like a skin for the case that's personalized, and then have my personal case for it. But yeah, it may be within a year. I've already talked to my wife about it and told her. She's like, she always asks me like, what's your next phone you're targeting for? I told her
yeah.
in 2026 I'm probably going to opt for the iPhone 17 because it'll be a little cheaper.
Yeah.
And so I'll probably end up getting that. And so she's like, what am I getting? I'm like, you're getting the Pixel 10a because there's rumors that's the last A series device they're going to make.
Oh man, that's horrible.
And yeah, it's kind of sad because I think they've taken the suggestions of a lot of people. This is why I tell people be careful what you say on social media. When you
Hmm.
complain so much, these companies are actually watching. So, rumor has it they're going to drop the A series after the 10A in favor of the base model being like their most budget option. And then, the Pro XL, and then the Fold. And I'm like, no, keep the A series going. Like, I wouldn't mind the Pixel 10a kind of like having the same design as the Pixel 9a, flushed in dual cameras, because then it gives a reason why you would pick the 10 if you want, I would say like a medium level triple camera setup with the telephoto and all that, but them not being as spec as high as the Pro models. And then you would have like just the ultra wide and the wide angle main on the
Mhm.
A series. It would make sense, but they're saying that the 10A is going to be the last A series phone they release next year. And that's a nice looking phone right there, and I like the orange color.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are ordering the orange color, but I don't know. It's not doing it for me, honestly. But I mean, I don't know which. There's only three fucking colors, so it's
Which
like,
is sad. They got
yeah,
rid of the space black color. They got rid of that.
yeah,
Like I've okay, so I'm gonna let you in on a little
go
secret
with it.
that I think is gonna happen with the 17 Pros. I think Apple later on down the road is going to release a black colored 17 Pro and Pro Max. I think they haven't brought this colorway yet because Apple ain't stupid. They know that even though the Pixel 10 series has been announced, the only phone that's not available yet is the 10 Pro Fold.
Oh
And
yeah,
what better way to keep Apple's name relevant in people's minds and
yeah.
hearts is if like say November or December they release a space gray 17 Pro Max. If colors work, I mean, look at Pixel 8. Pixel 8 had bay blue, obsidian, and
Hmm.
porcelain, and then like 4 months later they came out with the green Pixel 8 Pro. It was like and it went banana. Like people went bananas over it. They hyped
Oh
it up, and
yeah.
I'm like you could have skinned your your Obsidian Pixel 8 to a green color, and there you go. But colors absolutely make they are important to people, so we could see a black model in like 4 or 5 months from now.
I mean, if they came out with a product red version of this, I think everyone would cop the product red. Obviously,
The 17 base has a product red, right? They still kept that.
I didn't see it actually. No,
'Cause
so I
I
don't think they
remember
do.
seeing it. Like I seen the green, I seen the other colors, but I didn't see red.
Yeah, no, I don't think they. I think they stopped collabing with the product red versions. I don't. Did they do one for the iPhone 15? I don't even remember that
I
honestly.
think they did. iPhone 15, I think,
Yeah,
did have
if
a.
they do, it's usually like later on past the release. It's not like right away, obviously. But yeah, I'm not seeing. I'm definitely not seeing a product red version here because I remember when I bought my iPhone 11 many years ago, right back in like pre 2020 or whatever.
Yeah,
Uh, that they did come out with a product red version out of the gates. So, uh,
yeah.
they're not doing that this time around, but I'm sure we'll see it maybe. But it's
Hopefully,
crazy that
it's a good
people,
cause.
yeah, it's crazy
Yeah,
that a lot of people just base what they want just based on a color, right? It's
yeah,
interesting how simple minded, because I mean, not simple minded, but like how people react to stuff like this, because it's like, man, like okay, I don't know, again, I don't know if I would want to get this phone or not, but from
I mean,
99.
it's a good concept. It just so here, I guess to like add a little bit more to the iPhone Air. Oh my god, man, I'm going off on the iPhone Air like I want Apple to
Yeah,
succeed.
it's all right,
Technically, I
I
do.
need ranting.
I do want Apple to succeed. People don't understand. I celebrate like I like Pixels. I will celebrate Apple when they have big achievements because I only know that it makes their competition try harder, and that's what I want. I want to see what these two companies can keep doing as they climb up, rather than staying still. But I think majority of people, like at least those that think like me, we all agree they should have put a silicon carbon battery in that. I mean, this would have been the perfect layup for the iPhone Air. Thinner, instead of using lithium ion and being 3100 milliamps, they could have done a silicon carbon battery and had 5000 milliamp hour battery in that small space. I mean,
Mhm.
everything is on the top camera plateau. That top camera bump, that's where everything is: the processor chip, the logic board, the motherboard, everything is there. The rest of the body, that's all battery.
Yeah,
So put a silicon carbon battery and it would have been the perfect situation there. And then it would have made sense. It would cost $999 without the need of an additional power pack.
yeah.
Oh my god. That's just, it's ridiculous. I can see power packs, I can see cases that are power bank cases for it. I can see all these things coming
I
down the road.
remember those power bank cases. You don't see people using them much anymore because of MagSafe, I guess. But I remember, like, years back, people would buy like those. What were they called? There was a name for them. The
um,
brand. I forgot the brand, but I remember seeing them where I'm like, oh yeah, that looks pretty
uh,
cool. I was always thinking to myself, I was
Mophie.
like, Mophie, yes, or Mophie, yeah, something like that with an M, yeah. So I
Yep.
would see those Mophie cases, and I was like, man, dude, like, I guess this helps out on not having to charge your device, right, when you just instead of plugging it in, you can just literally press the
Yeah.
button on the case, and they I guess we don't really see a lot of that anymore, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
these
think
MagSafe, the MagSafe
this would be
chargers.
this would be a perfect opportunity for for the iPhone Air for Mophie to have a comeback with
So,
their power pack cases.
yeah.
Even then, if Mophie doesn't do it, the company from Mr. Mobile clicks. I because they obviously they make cases for iPhones to have physical QWERTY keyboards, but how cool would it be if they actually build one that's like also a power bank that has charging pass through, so that means you don't have to take out the phone to charge the phone and then charge the
Mhm.
case for it. It all charges at once. I mean, that would be pretty cool, but like I don't know. I've sent emails to Clicks. I'm like, hey, you guys are doing a great job with these QWERTY keyboard cases for
Yeah.
Motorola and stuff. I'm like, why not come up with slider cases?
Imagine.
That way the phones are not really long. They're
Yeah.
like kind of like the LG Optimus Slide. I mean, I would love an iPhone 12 case that had a QWERTY keyboard, and you just turn it to the side, slide up, and you got a keyboard here. So it's like, I would love that. I never got word back, and I don't know. I even said too, like if they actually did it, I would never try to sue them and say it was my idea because I'm sure somebody out there thought about that before me.
Oh yeah.
So you can't make a claim on that. I just want to see them do it for the sake of like building a QWERTY keyboard slider case. They
Yeah.
have them in Korea. I don't know if people know that, but like yeah, you go to Korea, you could buy cases for your Samsung and like they're slide out QWERTY keyboards. And they got like little funky characters on them and stuff. Like they have one for women that's like pink and it's got these lovable little creatures on the keyboard. It's so cool. And it's like, why don't we have this in America? Like, why don't they ever like why can't companies here like D brand or
Yeah.
Skonami? Why can't any of these guys build something like this? This would be so cool.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I feel like it is just. I mean, now at this point, it is somewhat of a gimmick, right? To see these type of like to see something like that, right? I don't know if I could ever go back to a physical keyboard, even though like when I was young, obviously, like when I first started using smartphones, again they were the sliders. I think the first one that I had was what from the LG Rumor Touch or something. I don't even remember the
Yeah.
phone. I need to go look. I need to go look that up. Actually, I think it was the Rumor Touch 2. Let's see, LG Rumor Touch 2. Let me see if I can find pictures. Yeah, it was like it was from Virgin Mobile, but I know they had like Sprint versions of it, I guess.
Oh, it's just the LG Rumor Touch because like
Yeah,
they had the LG Rumor was their first slide out QWERTY keyboard phone, and then
yeah,
they had the Rumor 2. And it was like weird. I loved phones back in those days because like the Rumor 2, I remember when I first got that phone and I was like, why do I have two back plates for this phone? And I looked closely and like one is like a regular light blue color and then the other one
hmm,
has like graphics on it. And I was
yeah,
like, oh, okay, you can customize it. Then the Rumor Touch, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Yeah, it wasn't capacitive touchscreen. It was literally resistive, so you had to like have pressure when you touched it. But then finding like all those little workarounds, how to sideload games using the SD card, and you
dude, I
know,
love doing that though. Like I remember, I think on this device you could even have like AOL Instant Messenger back in the day, and they
yeah,
had
it
like
had
some sort of version of
yeah,
like Facebook and stuff like that. It was kind of like
yeah,
not
yeah,
Android based.
it had a yeah, it was a WAP or a WAP version. It was a WAP
Yeah,
app. So yeah, you had Facebook and Twitter, and they would show up on your carousel at the bottom, and then you could download games from like their web store, but then you could download like I remember I was showing a friend of mine how I got Angry Birds on the LG Rumor Touch, and it was
yeah,
just like downloading a modded version for non Android phones and stuff, and like putting it
yeah.
in the SD card and then loading it. And that was a great phone. I really enjoyed that phone. It was so cool too because that was like the revolutionary time where YouTube was mostly viewable on your mobile smartphone or just your mobile feature phone. Like the
Yeah, I think I
Samsung
remember
Rat
watching
had it.
you. I remember watching YouTube on it when it was like like the resolution was like 240p or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And you were trying to like watch videos streaming off 3G, the 3G network. So I guess the bandwidth wasn't really needed that much for the low quality. But I was just like,
yeah,
man, like I thought back then that was super like revolutionary, man. It's crazy how far we've come in like the past 10 years. I mean, well, more than 10 years. It's
yeah.
I think I had that phone like in what, like 2011, 2012 maybe, I think. But I thought it
Yeah,
was an interesting
2011.
time. I really did like the way like the messaging looked. Like you can see here like how the messaging look, and you can hit the little reply button on the screen. I don't remember much of it. I think they did have like an on-screen keyboard also, but I don't remember using it like or trying to use it. Because it was a little
I think
different.
their on screen was T9 text. That's why.
Uh,
So
yeah.
it's you use like if you had it in portrait and like the dialer would come up and you have to tap like twice to put B. So it didn't actually like have like an on screen keyboard that was QWERTY style. You had to pop out the keyboard, but a lot of people did anyways. I mean, dude, that phone is the reason why I got very little sleep in 2011 because like I would go to my normal day and then I would hit the bed and like I'm on chat messages like chatting with friends and stuff and then it's like 12 midnight and then I switch over to YouTube and I'm like I'll watch like one or two videos and I'm like 13 videos in and it's 3:45 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, "Oh, well, I got to go to bed now." That phone kept me up late night. Um I love that phone, and then that was the reason that even though it didn't have like the best specs and everything like that, that I
Hmm.
ended up getting the Samsung Intercept because it was an Android phone with 2.2 Froyo. Thank God it had stock Android. It didn't have TouchWiz, but it had
Yeah.
a QWERTY keyboard. So I was like, oh, I'm good with this. And then my wife got the LG Optimus Slide, and I was jealous because I'm like, man, that's got a bigger screen than mine. It's like the
Back then,
keyboard
I
is
think
so better.
it was the battle of screen sizes, man. Honestly, I
Yeah.
was like, I remember like I think I had the device, and then one of my buddies from work, he ended up getting like one of the newer HTC phones. I think it was like the HTC Evo, and I
Oh
was like,
yeah, yeah.
holy shit, that thing's huge. You know what I mean? Here am I with my slider fucking phone, dude. I'm tempted to buy one just to make like a nostalgia video on it. You know what
I've
I mean?
been looking. I've been
Yeah,
looking on
eBay
offer.
has them for like 25 right now, dude. Let me see.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to go the route with eBay, I would. I'm always trying to
Yeah.
find them like locally, like if anyone
Oh
has them.
yeah. You can just go to like
Uh,
a freaking pawn shop probably, and
I would, I would
yeah.
definitely would. I would say that'd be very interesting to watch because like the Optimus Slide, I haven't found any really, unless there's some on eBay, but that one I would want to grab that and the Optimus Elite just because like the Optimus Lite had a QWERTY keyboard and 3.2-inch display, and then the Optimus Elite, which fooled people into thinking it was an iPhone because it from the front it looked like an iPhone. Like you had to
Uh-huh.
really get close to that phone to see the LG logo,
I think I
and
had the this elite.
you
I
did you
remember.
unboxed it, man, because I was
Yeah,
blowing
yeah,
you up in your comments about it, and then yeah.
yeah.
That was a solid phone, and I think that was one of the first phones on Virgin Mobile that had tap to pay. I believe um, that's when tap to pay was starting to come
Hmm.
out more.
Yeah.
So like, yeah,
Did it
that
have
was one.
NFC? I don't even remember. Like
It
shit.
did.
Shit. Like
It,
yeah,
it
I think
had.
yeah, back then that was a thing where like, dude, look at that, $75. Some of them are like super cheap though, but like unknown carrier, clean ESN, untested. Please read yada yada yada.
Yeah. See, I always get scared of those things when they're like
Yeah, no,
untested or. But I mean, that would be so cool if like there was like a reputable seller
yeah,
that we could trust to buy these nostalgic phones from. Could
hmm,
definitely just do like a nostalgic throwback review on them just to because people kind of forget that like kind of like I don't sit in much conversations on social media anymore about smartphones is because it's like people are going to they're going to debate, argue, scream, huff and puff and shout iPhone's better, Pixel's better, Samsung Galaxy's better, and it's like like
what the
who cares, like Samsung has its thing, Apple has its thing, Pixels have their thing. So whatever resonates with you as what you want from a phone, then that's the one that you should buy, and
oh
nothing
yeah,
else. You know, back then we had more choices. We had slide out QWERTY keyboards that slid for left hand users, or it slid for right hand users. Like I remember one of my favorite phones that at a time was on Virgin Mobile was I think it's called the Helio. It was
hmm,
like a triple slider. It slid up to like show like the dialer, and then you slid it back down. Then you slid it to the left for a full
hmm,
QWERTY keyboard. So when you turned it sideways, you saw three slats, and that's how the phone was engineered. It was such a cool phone. Or even like the Samsung SCH U70 for Verizon, where it was a flip phone and it was like gold and black. But then when you wanted to type QWERTY keyboard, you just
hmm.
turned your phone landscape and then flipped it the other way, and it would flip open like a laptop, and you would just type away. Like there was so much innovation back then with designs and playfulness, and it made phone tech fun. It made
Yeah.
Phone Dog fun to watch late night.
Oh
Always watching Phone
man,
Dog.
I know. I loved Phone Dog back in the day, man. I'm looking at the specs here, man. Look at that camera resolution, 2.0. It's saying it's running on an Android system, but I don't think so. Maybe it did like a very early, maybe.
Wait, which
Uh,
one is that?
the rumor touch, the one that I was looking at right now. This one, I'm like trying to read the specs here. It says it's on the
Oh,
2G network, and it says storage capacity 52 megabytes. Like what?
you know what? It could be modified. I do
Yeah,
know there were people that actually, because again, like these phones, they were feature phones, but they could actually run smartphone OSs back in the day. So there were
yeah.
people who modified the LG Rumor Touch, and I think they put Android Cupcake on it,
Oh wow.
and it ran choppy, but it was you were still able to run Android on it. Or they would install Symbian, which was another operating system that was like used on other PDF phones, and they were
Hmm.
able to install that on the Rumor Touch. So you were able to mod that thing. It's just if you really wanted like high performance, which would probably cost you like a lot of money to build it, but you probably could build an LG Rumor Touch, just get the body of it, find the parts that you need with today's modern, processor chip, modern GPU, NPU, TPU, battery, RAM, and swap out the display for a resistive to a capacitive display. And you could probably build you like the ultimate LG Rumor Touch with like Android 16. But then
Jeez.
people would be like, why would you invest $500 to take an old $50 phone and build it up like that? And so there's not a market that would want to buy it. Just those people that like have like a nostalgic connection to it would buy it, but they really wouldn't even really use it. They would probably just stick it on the shelf and be like, yeah, that's a Rumor Touch that I used to have back in the day, and someone modded it with Android. So it's like, otherwise, I would have created a business doing that. Like, give me your old phone, and if it's possible, I would install Android or, like a jailbroken version of iOS on it.
Jeez.
Well,
Imagine.
I couldn't do iOS because Apple would sue me instantly.
Right.
I would get a cease and desist letter and then a court date where I would be meeting with Apple lawyers. So you
I
put
think I remember
iOS.
seeing a video where somebody like installed iOS like on a Nintendo Switch or something like that. I was like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
It
But
could
it,
do it.
yeah, I'm sure it was possible, man. But look at this. So I'm over here looking at the LG V20, 64 gigabytes, all colors for only 39.99. Man, that's crazy. Look,
I would love to get a hold of a V10 and gut it out and put like modern day hardware in it and then run it. That'd be so
what was
cool.
their last version? It was the V60, right, or something?
I think so. The V60
Yeah,
ThinQ.
yeah. You can still get it for $99, which those camera bumps were tiny compared to the ones we see now on a lot of these cameras.
Yeah, but the crazy thing about these LG phones is that they still run solid.
Oh yeah,
Like I know a Stylo 6 and I've been trying to get it off. I tried to get it off him, but like he he's playing hardball. So he'll sell it for $300. I'm like,
dang.
no. I'm not gonna buy it for $300. I'll buy it for 70, but not 300.
Jesus, $300. That's crazy.
But like I was like messing around with it, and it's such a big phone, and it runs good. I miss
Oh
the
yeah,
LG Stylo series. Like I kind of wish LG would come back. I think if they came back, it would explode the tech world because they would be back making smartphones. People are gonna hit it with that. Make a new stylo because the stylo
right.
was very popular. Um, that would give Motorola a run for their money too because the Moto G stylus would have competition again in its
Gee,
realm. Like TCL made one with the stylus, and that only went so far. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think if like HTC, LG, if all these companies came back, if Blue stepped its game up, if TCL, just got more serious in the industry, and even what's that other one? New Mobile. If they got more serious in the industry, I think things would be a little better. Like I know people would
hmm
say, "Oh, the market's flooded with all these different types," but it's like,
yeah,
like it's a bit boring when you only have three, like
Yeah.
three brands that you would pull from, and Samsung being the only one that has the most model phones. Um, Motorola is like second to Samsung with having the most model phones, but majority of their phones is like outside of the US. It's international models. Oh my God, Virgin Mobile.
I know.
Still sealed in the box and everything? Like the box is sealed, never open?
Yep, the LG Optimus F3. I was trying to look for the original, but I don't even remember
Wow.
this version, the LG Optimus F3. I don't know. I might have did an unboxing of it like through like another carrier. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, that's pretty crazy, honestly, dude. Look at that box. So much nostalgia just looking at this box, man. That's what brought our like these boxes brought our YouTube channels to life, man. Basically, so
Oh yeah. Like and you know what? I like those
crazy.
boxes, I welcome them more. You remember the boxes that came in before those, that hard plastic, you needed
Oh yeah,
scissors to cut it open, and it
yeah,
had
yeah. I remember that.
that silver little cut, that little cardboard thing for a good time called Sir Richard. It's like
Yeah, the big plastic cover casing, I guess, for it, but still, yeah, I
I
guess they
still
got,
have scars.
yeah,
Like
they
if
did away with those, and they gave us these after a while. So I'm just like, damn, dude, like I would love going to like Best
yeah,
Buy or Target, and you
if
could
we
still
meet
go to,
up,
yeah,
if we
well,
meet up, I'll show you. I have three scars on my hands from those plastic things after cutting them and trying to rip
oh
them open and losing my grip and slice, you
yeah,
bleed
I
all
think I
over
cut
it.
myself open one time, dude, like with one.
Yeah,
You had to be
those
very
were
careful.
true anti-thefts. Because people would be trying to steal those things in the store, and you could hear them. Like I would go in a Radio Shack, and this dude was in there one time. I think he was trying to. I forgot what phone it was. It was a Boost mobile phone. He was trying to steal, but you could hear him in the far corner because you hear the plastic. It's like creaking and making all kinds of noises because like he's cut it with a small little razor blade. And he's trying to tear it open to get the phone, and I'm like, bro, you are so obvious. And the clerk, like I'm like checking out, I'm buying my stuff, and you can see like the clerk pick up the phone. He's on the phone with 911, shoplifting in progress. Like, oh, this guy's not making it out. And like my wife, she was so evil back then. She's like, "Oh yeah, we're not leaving just yet. We're gonna sit in the car and watch." And like we're sitting in a parking lot, we're just watching, and then we see like Phoenix police show up. Dude tries to run out the door. The other cop is there, tackles him to the ground. It's like my wife's just watching it. I'm like, thank God social media wasn't a huge thing back then, because if TikTok was around back then, that would have been on TikTok.
Imagine posting something like that, like on Vine.
Yeah. Oh, LG Optimus. Is that the Optimus V or the Optimus Slide?
This is the Optimus V, yeah, not the
Yeah,
slide. So
the non keyboard one.
yeah, this is the one I had when I think this was like my actual first Android phone that I ever
That one was
got.
very popular. Like
Yeah,
a lot of
everyone
Virgin
had
Mobile
this
customers
device.
had that,
Yeah,
and then Sprint
Sprint.
customers had the
Yeah,
purple one. I
yeah.
was
I think
like,
there was
man,
maybe a T-Mobile variant of it also, probably.
yeah. A lot of you young kids out there who watch this that don't even know, uh, we used to get the purple one from Sprint, and then you would use a software on your PC called CDMA, like what's it, CDMA tool, or
Yeah.
like flash, like where you could basically flash. So you would wipe out the Sprint proprietary software for it, and then you would flash in Virgin Mobile, and then you would
Hmm.
just trick the people from Virgin Mobile, call in, be like, "I want to activate my Optimus V," and they're like, "Are you sure this is a Virgin Mobile one? Can you power the phone off and power it back on so I can hear it?" And I would do it. And you would hear that Virgin Mobile, and they're like, "Okay, we'll activate it." And like 10 minutes later, you got the 3G bar on the top. It's
Yeah.
active, ready to go. $25 a month, like the OG $25 unlimited plan. Because you only got like what, 60 minutes or 30 minutes of talk time? No, 300 minutes of talk
Yeah, I
time.
think it was like 300 minutes, and then they gave you like unlimited
Unlimited.
data and text or
Yep.
whatever, which
Unlimited
was
data,
crazy.
unlimited text.
Which was
Which
like crazy for its time, yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah, because when Google Voice hit the scene, oh, that was KO. Because you would have a $25 Virgin Mobile plan with Google Voice that ran off
Mhm.
data, so you had unlimited data. So you had like calling abilities to call people for like hours, and not even burn your 300 minutes. Then like Virgin Mobile then found out about it, and they found a way to block Google Voice, and then they raised the price from 25 to 35. But I was
Yeah,
like, I don't care. I mean, that was like Virgin Mobile had it. They knew what teens want. They knew teens wanted a
yeah.
fully unlimited data service. That was
Yeah,
so
it was
crazy.
definitely different back then because, like, if you wanted your own phone, yeah, I mean, the phones were not super expensive out of the gate. I think this was probably like hundred to $150. I don't remember what I paid for this. Maybe 150, I guess. But again, twenty
Oh, you
dollars.
got a good deal. I paid 179.99 plus
Yeah,
tax, so total came out to 191.26. I remember how much I paid for that phone.
damn.
That
Oh,
phone was awesome. I felt like a king walking around with that. I was like, shit. I thought I was the man. And you had people boasting about their iPhone. I got the iPhone 3GS. I could download this game. It's like, yeah, well, I could download the same game too. What? Like what? What are you gonna tell me that I can't do with my phone? If my phone costs like $200 less than yours.
no, for real, man. It's interesting seeing these devices and like kind of throwbacking it, like storage capacity 160 megabytes, or I think it was like 200, the original. Camera
Yeah,
resolution
yeah.
3 megapixels. This one didn't even have a flash, from what I remember. There was no built-in flash with this one, so no front-facing camera, no
No.
flash.
Yeah,
Um,
so that's why you had the little mirror on the top. Yeah, like if those people who don't know, if you pick up these old nostalgic phones, they have
mhm.
like this silver bubble that's reflective. That was a selfie mirror, so you can line your shot to take a selfie.
Yeah.
I had to teach my son that because he's seen one of my old phones. I think it's it was from T-Mobile. I forgot what they call it. They did that the LG, well, not the, no, the HTC G2. So
Mhm.
it was the successor to the first Android phone on T-Mobile, and it had the like the pop out QWERTY keyboard, but it has that little mirror on the back. And my son's like, "What's this for?" And he's like putting his thumb on it. I'm like, "Oh, well, you would have to wipe that for a clear reflection, so you could take a really good selfie because there's no front camera." He's all looking on the front for the camera, like, "Wait, there's no camera." I'm like, "Yeah, there's no camera. You had to turn your phone around." You know,
Man, we had it hard back then, man. Shit.
yeah, you had to borrow your friend's phone at night when you go to like when you're
Yeah.
outside, you want to take a selfie, you gotta like, hey man, let me see your phone, and you wake their screen and use it like a flash. So that's why you would see on people's Facebooks and MySpace those photos where it's like
The
absolutely pitch black on the side, but like very lit around your face because you're using someone's phone screen to light you up.
Mhm.
Like you had to improvise or use the headlights of your car, like turn your headlights on real quick.
Yeah, plus back then I don't remember if the camera or the Android software allowed you to turn on the flash on the phones that had flashes, I guess. I'm not 100% sure, honestly. I don't
Yeah, there
remember
was
when that
a
became a thing.
yeah, you would have to manually do it back then
Yeah.
when they had Flash. It did it. It wasn't
You
able like
you had to
yeah
download an app, I think, right? There was like an app that allowed you to like access the flash. I remember having to do that on one or two of my devices back then.
yeah because like at the time like the version like there was a certain version of Android that didn't have that in their settings to enable auto flash or flash is on always when you take a photo or disable. Like they didn't have it in the camera app just yet. So yeah, I remember doing that. It was a workaround that people had to do to be able to get that. But like yeah, those phones, man. But like they were so much fun. Like I remember on Virgin Mobile when no, it wasn't Virgin Mobile. It was Boost Mobile back in the day. The very
Yeah.
first Android phone they carried. And it was I forgot what it was called. It was I know it was a Motorola phone, but I don't know if it was the Moto 1 cuz it was it had push to talk and all that stuff. It had that.
Mhm.
And like the only way you could use the web browser on Android was if you were connected to Wi-Fi. If you
Oh
were on the
wow.
regular network, it couldn't because they were using the IDEN network back then. They weren't
Oh wow.
using CDMA. So, God, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like you had like Opera browser as like the web browser for it, and that's how you watched YouTube on it. And it was like, man, it was so cool. I remember those days.
Yeah, I guess we had a lot of things to work around back then, especially on these devices that were still not like how we see them today. It's pretty crazy, honestly.
I think that's why, like, where I mean, when I tell people I had to be resilient with things, I had to figure things out, workarounds and stuff like that. So when I see like today's smartphones coming out, like the Pixel 10 doesn't have 256, like, yeah, it's kind of pisses me off because like they could have actually just started with 256 as the base, but it's not detrimental where it would make me sell my Pixel 10 and get an iPhone 17. I do have workarounds to make it to where my storage is manageable. Obviously, reliance on cloud storage, and of course people forget, but you can connect using this little device here that comes with Pixels. but you can connect, a flash drive and use OTG as additional
Mhm.
storage, things that you don't want to keep on your phone all the time, but you want access to.
I think I have one of those sitting
Yeah.
around somewhere. I don't exactly remember where, but I
Here,
never use it.
I'll show you this to show you how ridiculous it can be for me. I
Oh
do
my
this just to see people's faces. Because like people will look at me in public, like if I need to like grab
god,
something from my visible cassette tape flash drive,
that's
and I
cute.
plug this thing into my freaking Pixel 10, and it's like boom.
Some people will probably not recognize what that is to begin with. Like, no one born before 2000 is gonna know what the hell that bottom portion is. That's for sure.
Someone's gonna think like if they know what a cassette tape is, someone might think I'm recording an audio call.
It's like, what are you doing? I'm recording my Zoom call. Honestly,
It's like, I mean, but yeah, I mean, if you need more storage, things that you absolutely don't need at your fingertips, you can put it onto a flash drive. But people
yeah.
today, they carry, man purses, they carry backpacks, so they're always carrying their laptop, they're carrying a flash drive. It makes sense, you know what I mean? So I can make it work. Because like we did that with the LG Stylo, like the Boost Mobile one only had 8 gigs of internal storage, and then the
Mhm.
T-Mobile one had 16 gigs. And so, to get more storage capacity, you had to root the LG Stylo in order to use adoptable storage back then, where you would use the SD card and make it part of the internal storage. So like I had an LG Stylo that had actually it had 128 gigs because I used what was it? What was it like 100? It was 100 and some. Well, no, not 128 gigs, but like 120, roughly around there. Because I had like
Yeah.
think it was like a 100 gig SD card with the write speed. So like the writable speed on it was I think times 10. So it was pretty quick in like moving data from the internal storage onto it. And like yeah, you had to root your phone. So I mean, this is why I was so comfortable with installing custom ROMs, rooting phones, because I had to do this to get the best experience out of like the olden day budget phones. So people complaining today about like the Pixel 9a, you don't know what hard is until you're buying a freaking Kyocera.
Yeah.
What was it?
Oh
The
man.
Kyocera Vent or something like that. That small one from Virgin
Well,
Mobile.
I remember the Kyocera Hydro or whatever it was called.
Yeah, no, this one was before the
Water.
Hydro.
I
This
did
one
a
was
dunk test back then.
the Hydro was awesome, and I had that one too. Yeah,
Yeah.
you would have to root those things to get an even better experience. So I guess that's why I'm not so triggered on certain things that other people get triggered easily on when it comes to today's mid range. I wouldn't call anything budget nowadays because everything is pretty much mid range.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, there's not really much of a budget phone. I guess if you went with like the really off brands like Blue and you went for like their $40 phone, I guess you can call that budget. But
Oh my god, I still have a blue phone that I haven't unboxed. I kind of want to send it to you, man, just so that you can do an unboxing because I think I only paid like $20 for it, so I think you would have fun with it. I was actually maybe thinking about I'll reach out to you about that, but yeah, I probably have some stuff I want to send you, so you can play around with also. So
at least
yeah,
do it like record an unboxing video for your channel,
yeah.
man. At least put that video out first. If you're gonna send
Oh
that my
man,
way, unbox it first and then send it to me because it's still an unboxing if I do it because there's no video on my channel for it. So
well,
unbox it
still,
first, man.
we'll see. It's sitting here in my corner. It's staring at me right now. You know what I mean? I think I messed around with a what other device did I have? It was and maybe I'll send it to you also. Not the new mobile device. I have a new mobile device sitting here, which was not a bad, honestly, a bad phone. I should probably send that one to you also just to play around with because I don't know. Have you played around with new mobile devices?
The last time I played
No.
around with new mobile, you'll
Mhm.
probably like this will shock you, but it was when the G3 came out.
The G3. Okay, yeah, that's a long time ago. So yeah,
Yeah.
they sent me their flagship last year, which was I think the B30 Pro. I don't know if that's still their flagship, but earlier this year they sent me a one called the N20, I believe, which it's right here. I don't know. I think I did only like one or two videos on it, but it's like you could only really put like T-Mobile branded. Looks like an iPhone. Like if you look at if you look
Oh yeah.
like sorry, like yeah, sorry, it's my green screen. I should probably turn it off, but
It kind of reminds me of an iPhone, but what it really looks like more to me is the OnePlus Nord N30.
there we go. You're gonna have to see my ugly background for now, guys.
Oh, that looks like
Yeah,
an N30 from OnePlus, bro. It really
Yeah,
does.
so yeah, I think it's called the N20 though. It's dead right now. I forgot to charge it. I haven't charged it in a minute, but like literally, it's really not a bad phone, man. So it might be something I might send to you also, just to kind of play around with, and
Oh yeah,
if you want
I
to
would
throw in a T-Mobile or whatever SIM on it, like there you go. I'm like charging it up now. Finally
oh,
plugged it in
if
because
it's T-Mobile only, Google Fi will work on it. I know one thing I know with I think it's really cool with T-Mobile branded phones is that even if they're SIM locked to T-Mobile, 80% of them allow Google Fi SIMs to work in them without needing to be unlocked. So either
yeah.
way, I can make it work.
Oh
That'd be
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to send you a little care package of some stuff that I'm just kind of like, it's just kind of sitting here for me. And I know probably, you could probably, make some better use of those devices, or, play around with them, and,
Oh,
take
yeah.
pictures, whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? So yeah, we'll see. I'll get in touch with you, but I'm off today. I can literally just put it together and ship them out like right now within the next hour or so.
I'll DM you my address because
Yeah,
since I moved down, I
send me
gave you my
yeah, no,
address.
yeah, for sure. I know I had your old address, but whenever you want to, I have a box and everything ready. I just would need to go to the post office and mail it out. But yeah, man, let me know on that. But yeah, man, I don't know anything. We've been going for a long time. I don't know how much time you have or whatever. If you're pressed for time or whatever, I don't know what's going on.
I got like another half hour, like till like 1 p.m. my time.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, it's about 2:40 my time, so I'm still not. I'm really not doing anything today. I'm just literally chilling. So whatever you want to talk about, man, open forum or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just like it's just been really tough because I mean, what we talked about in the very beginning of the live stream. Like what I was saying, there's so many people who are just like super sensitive about things. So I've
Yeah,
been kind of staying off social media just for that very reason. Like,
yeah,
um, it really sucks because it's like I don't expect people to like the guy, right? Like people could
yeah,
always have like their opinions about people. Hey, that's great, but like celebrating someone's death, like that's
yeah,
just like that's wow, and of course, people are gonna make all their little speculations. I'm just like,
yeah.
for me, there were points that he said that I agree with. There were things he said that I disagree with. Ultimately, I knew what he was trying to do. I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
I would see him around because like he lives here. Like he's not from Arizona, but he
Hmm.
was he was living here
He
with
was
his wife and his
residing.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why they're gonna have him buried here. And it's like crazy because all these things are happening. Like I do know the vice president was just recently here. I don't know if
Hmm.
he's coming back here soon. I do know he'll be here this weekend for the services, which
Yeah.
I think is ridiculous because I know a lot of people are going to show up. I think they should do two services, one in the morning and one at night, to allow people to come and say their goodbyes or whatever they want to do, get some closure. Um, it's like it's angering a lot of locals here in Phoenix because there's people that's coming here to the Turning Point headquarters, and
Hmm.
they're vandalizing it. Like someone spray painted, "We got him in the neck," and it's
Yeah.
like, come on, like okay, you want to go on TikTok and say how you hated him and you're glad he's gone, fine, do that, but leave his business alone. Like, don't go to something that he built with along with his team and then go and
Hmm.
deface it, like, and not expect to get jumped because another guy got jumped going there with the mega horn and shouting out stuff, and somebody hopped out of their car and whooped him, and was like,
Yeah.
you can't do that and not expect something to happen. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
no. I mean, I'm definitely not condoning like any type of violence or like vandalism from this. Like, I'll give you an example, right? My I think our local college or my university, the one that I graduated from, had like some sort of event happen. I don't know if there was any like protesters, but somebody went and painted a mural of Charlie Clerk somewhere out there in the city.
Yeah,
And not even within like 24 hours, somebody went and like vandalized the mural of him. You know what I mean? So, I
it's
get,
crazy.
you again, you don't, you can hate somebody and disrespect them, whatever, but it's like, you're messing up somebody's time also, and hard work and putting a mural together on something, even if
Yeah.
that's not something you agree with, um, about that whatever he believed in, whatever, you know what I mean. I definitely don't condone that, especially for the artist. I feel really bad for someone to go and take a
Yeah.
lot of time to do that, and then for somebody to go and ruin it, like like this is not the first time something like this has happened. I mean, I'm sure people have heard of a guy named Martin Luther King, right? You know, a guy that
Yeah.
he was very similar in a lot of ways. That I mean, again, I wasn't alive during that time. My parents were alive during the segregation and all of that, right? But it was imagine if that happened like now, like if there was like a kind of like a prominent black figure, like how MLK was back then in today's social media, and then we
Hmm.
something like that happened. I could see there being like a lot of riots and stuff happening because of that, right? You know, we don't see I don't see riots happening, because of Charlie Kirk or anything like that, which is good. I'm glad that people are, kind of toning it down. But for them to kind of like point at a political party, also, the people that are, were for Charlie Kirk are kind of right off the gate, right? It was just like why they're pointing fingers when they didn't even know who murdered the guy or who killed him, right? Um, so that kind of frustrated me a little bit. I'm not super like into politics, like I've said in the past. Like I'm not,
Yeah.
I typically vote towards the left though, just because I kind of align more of what values and stuff that the left has over the right. But there are some things on the right that I can agree with, or I can say like, hey, maybe I don't agree with what they're doing with, like, all of the ICE stuff that's happening and stuff like that, but I do think that yes, there needs to be some sort of system in place where, like, it's easier for people that are trying to come outwards in to get, some sort of citizenship or type of working visas, etc., like that. Because yes, there's illegals that live here in the U.S., right? Some of them,
Yeah.
a lot of them are paying into the tax system, right? And they're not getting any benefits. They own homes, they own properties, they own businesses, right? I remember when the ICE raid started happening. They raided one of the local restaurants that I live in down, or that it's down here where I live. And I was like, man, I've eaten at that restaurant. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the workers there, are not, they don't have papers, right? I don't know how they're paying them. Some of the restaurants and businesses, they do document a lot of the stuff though, right? I don't know if you've heard of like what's called a tin number, right?
Hmm.
But it's basically so that the workers can still get taxed, and whatever they're making is still taxed. Some places that are small businesses will again pay people under the table, right? They'll be like, okay, you worked, this long, whatever, we're just going to pay you this much. But that's also a bad thing because sometimes those business owners can refuse to pay the worker, right? When it
Yeah.
comes to stuff like that. So people that have like tin numbers are a little more protected when it comes to getting paid because they're putting into the tax system now, right? I'll just say it, right. One of my last girlfriend, right? She would use stuff like that, like a tin number, when she got jobs locally because she wasn't a documented person over here, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, like anyways, going back to the whole Charlie Kirk thing, it's just, I mean, it was a horrible thing that happened, right? And
Yeah.
for so many people to see it, right? I'm glad that the person that wasn't angry enough to go take it out on more than one person, right? He didn't go and it didn't aim at other targets and other people, right? The guy
Well,
could have,
he got his objective. His objective target was Charlie. Had
that
he
was
was
it,
able to
yeah,
get
one
has if
person,
he was able to get his wife and kids, he would have done it. Um, the sad case, sad point in case is, what I mean. Like right now in society today, politics has divided this country right down the middle.
yeah,
And the thing that pisses me off because, I'm just gonna go out here and say it. If I lose followers or if people hate me
yeah,
after this, so be it. You know what? But right now, this podcast is living proof that somebody who is,
mhm,
left leaning and somebody who is right leaning can actually have a conversation and have respect for one
yeah,
another. Because I'll be honest, I'm conservative. I'm
yeah,
conservative on things, but here's the thing: I'm conservative on some points, and I'm liberal on other points.
mhm,
Um, the sad case in point is that you don't have to agree with Charlie and a lot of the things that he said. You don't have to respect his mindset. You don't have to. This is
yeah,
this is the ultimate beauty of being in America. So
mhm,
like I'm not with the other group of people who's seeking out these guys that are celebrating and trying to get them fired from their jobs. Today, it's hard to find a job. I may be
Very hard. Yeah.
disgusted by what they're saying. Like I know I watched one video and a person was saying like, oh, now that they got Charlie, they should get his wife so that way his kids could be put in a foster home and
Yeah, I
raised
read that also.
to, yeah, to freaking hate their parents. And it's like you have to be one sick person to wish for a child to be separated from their parents.
Yeah.
But the people that's like, we're gonna find you, we're gonna report you. Like, look, you could be mad, be angry, hit a punching bag if it pisses you off that bad, but I'm not gonna mess with someone's livelihood and make them jobless. Like, because then that all that does is it just for those who are like right wing conservatives saying that the leftist liberals are extreme and they're calling right wingers extreme, you are only proving their point when you're chasing after them on social media to get them fired. Like,
Yeah.
if we really believe in free speech, if they're celebrating, they're celebrating. We can say it's disgusting, leave it at that. They can say they're happy and like, they feel bad for the bullet. They can say that. Let them say it. It's their right to say it. And if someone kicks their ass, someone kicks their ass. But to actively search these people down, this is why I've lost a lot of hope in humanity today.
Mhm.
Sometimes I post things on social media and I sound depressed. It's because I see a lot of this stuff happening, and this is why I have to take myself away from social media because it starts to affect me personally, and I don't want to live my life depressed. So when people
Yeah,
talk
same.
politics, like Michael Loke, but he talks politics. Like I let
Yeah.
him say what he wants to say on my live streams,
Mhm.
and I always tell him I don't discuss politics. It's only because it's such a
Yeah.
touchy subject. Some
It
people
is,
can they could have a conversation like you and I, and other people can't. They get too emotional, you know. I have my point of views. People have their point of views, and I think that's what we have to remember is that everyone's entitled to an opinion. Everyone can have an opinion, um, but people can't. And this is why things like this happen. Like what happened to Charlie was, a failure to allow someone to have an opinion,
for sure.
and it's going to keep going. Like I don't care what side of the political spectrum people are on. Like people are like, "Oh, if it was a liberal person speaking, then you guys would have been rioting in the streets." Like you don't know. I wish you would stop assuming what each side would do. Just because of
Yeah.
past actions doesn't mean that future actions are going to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
This is why I stay away from people's discussions when they're on X talking about politics. It's like, do you? I
Yeah,
just
that's crazy. Like I follow a lot of people that, are more on the right side, right? And like I'm not going to unfollow them just because, they support it and like Charlie Kirk, you know what I mean? Like
yeah
I did. I'll be honest. I didn't like him. Like I didn't like the way he spoke, especially when he was debating people. I feel like he was cutting a lot of people down and not actually trying to respect what they were saying. But I do
yeah
like that he gave them an open platform to talk about the things that they were passionate about or the things that they believed. The fact that he was always trying to kind of disprove them or tell him something, and vice versa, right? You got a lot of that from the people that he was debating, right?
yeah
When it came to him going out there and doing his debates, right? I think that a lot of people did go up there and try to cut him down and try to like disprove him on a lot of things, but he definitely held strong on what he believed in, right? I think
yeah
what a lot of people didn't like about him, and maybe this is partially me also, is the rhetoric that it turned into, right? What he was saying, right, was a little hypocritical on some stances, right? He, shit, one of my buddies is calling me over here. Let me mute my device. He's at work. I don't even know why he's calling me right now. But anyways, um, a lot of things that he said were a little hypocritical, right? Again, I don't want to get on too touchy of the subject, but it's like you can't say like, you're pro life, when it comes to abortion, this and that, and then you're supporting, all of these killings that are going on the other side of the world, right? When it comes to like Islam and Palestine and even the war in Ukraine and Russia, right? How can you say that you're pro life when like there's all these innocent people getting killed on the other side of the world that's being backed by our country, we're sending them weapons, this and that, right?
yeah
Little things like that, right? Or again, the big A thing where
hmm
he was asked one time like, what happened if your 10-year-old daughter was
yeah
RAPD, would you want her to keep the child? And he said, yes, I would let her keep the child, even if it was or he wouldn't want the child to be, excommunicado, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'll use a John Wick term there, because again, he doesn't believe in that, but it's just like, okay, you don't believe in that, but like I said, you're not against gun, violence when it comes to guns, and he even said it himself, like, I think that these murders have to happen, right, so that we can keep our Second Amendment rights. So there's a lot of like contradictions and hypocrisies that he would say, that
Yeah.
I was just like, how do you say that and then believe in one thing and not the other? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, right? Pro-choice, pro-life, whatever. um but
So
again, like,
there's
yeah,
always sides to those things,
yeah,
right? Like
and
there's always
but I get like the Christian and the Bible version of why he supports, the pro life movement, right? But I'm just like, you're not pro life if you support gun, if you're not against gun violence and this and that, because people are dying. It's not the person killing them, it's the gun. Well, if there wasn't a gun, somebody would still go and stab somebody, or go and
right.
explode
I think
people. You know what I
it's
mean? So
it's a
it's not one thing, it's the other.
it's perspectives. It's
Yeah,
perspectives.
it's different
You know,
perspectives.
the thing with the whole gun thing, and I'm very open about when it comes to gun, to the pew pews or whatever you want to call them on social
Yeah,
media.
the pew
So,
pews.
when he says those things, my perspective on that, and this is just my perspective, so it's not
Mhm.
saying that that's what he meant. It's just how I'm
Yeah.
taking it. Um, if if we allow the government to strip our rights of bearing arms, that
Hmm.
puts us in a very very bad perspective in one key way. Let's say that the current person in office is a dictator, and so they remove every citizen's right to bear arms.
Hmm.
Well, that person sitting in office is also the commander in chief, which means that he's a top lead man in the United States military. And let's say he invokes martial law and sends the military out against everyday citizens. How do we combat the military?
Yeah.
Like, how do we defend ourselves if we're going to be oppressed, if we're going to be controlled by a tyrant who's using our own military against us? How do we fight back with
Hmm.
stones, with knives, with baseball bats?
Yeah.
So, like, see, there
Molotov.
there is there is an underlining point. Yes, not everything is going to be perfect, but taking away citizens' rights to bear arms is not the answer to ending the violence. There are more things that needs to be done in order to make sure that people don't get these weapons in their hands. But then again, this centralizes around a lot of different things. This is one of the reasons why they want to they want a tight border, because if I was a felon and I wanted to get my hands on a handgun, it's pretty easy. I just go by the border towns here in my state.
Oh
There
yeah.
are people that smuggle them in. So
Yep.
these are weapons that are not even given a serial number. They're not checked in, nothing like that.
Yep.
So there's there are views. And that's what people need to remember, is that, like, just because you have a view doesn't mean that you're wrong, much less does it mean that the opposition is wrong. And I think the failure here, and this is why I have respect for Charlie Kirk, even though he said some things that I don't agree with, or like
Yeah.
the way that he said it was like condescending, and it kind of like sometimes it undermined other people's intelligence. His whole point of doing these things was to keep people talking,
Yeah.
allowing the opposition a platform to not only just talk but also to fire questions at him, allowing him to speak, allowing them to speak. And I think the beauty of that was that most people don't really see, because people love to chop up videos, is where two people, him and another person, debating, and they couldn't see eye to eye. And in the moment that it was mentioned, let's just, we can agree to disagree.
Hmm.
And both the debater and him would actually agree upon that. And then he would make mention, we just agreed on something.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so his whole belief structure was like, if, let's say, the left and the right, let's take them for example. If the left stopped talking, the right stopped talking, that's where more violence happens. That's where a civil war, because that's what he was really trying to stop, was this move towards a civil war. Like, you have, and I always like to like correct people on it, because when people are always like, Democrats believe in this, no, not every Democrat believes in it. There are Democrats that are pretty extreme with what they say, but then there are other Democrats that are not. And you know what? It's the same on the Republican side. There are
Yeah.
Republicans that are a certain way. There are Republicans that, in my mind, are like, "Way, you're way too far with your ideas." So it's like we I wish Americans remember that it is okay to be conservative about some things and liberal about another things. I think we need to
Yeah.
stop approaching politics like it's a gang. Bloods, Crips, Norteños, Sureños. Like we gotta stop approaching it with that aspect, and kind of go back to the thing how it is. There are things you're gonna be conservative about, and there are things you're gonna be liberal about. And you have a perspective, and it's your country's right to you
Yeah.
that you can feel that way and without oppressing other people's thoughts or opinions or saying that they're not allowed to have their life because they disagree with you. That's the only thing I don't like about today's modern politics discussions
Hmm.
is people feel like I got to hurt you because you don't agree with me. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, what if that spews into mobile tech? What if all of a sudden
Right.
pixel people are like that extreme and some guy gets on a roof because a guy standing in line waiting to buy his first iPhone 17 and then pew pew
Yeah.
happens. Like, come on. Like
Yeah.
but it could go that way because the minds today are so sensitive that they will even let a debate happen over cheeseburgers and pizzas. Like, are
Yep.
you for real? So my thing is that I would love people to get back to a place of where you could agree to disagree,
Mhm.
and if it gets too heated, step away from the subject because you know what, like
Yeah.
you're allowed to think and believe in what you want. I'm allowed to do the same for me. And mine does
Yeah.
not trample yours, and yours will not trample mine. And there are so many ways that we can stay friends without letting those things oppose our friendship. And
Mhm.
that's when people say it's cliche to say that this country needs more love, it's not a cliche thing. We really do need more neighborly love, which
Yeah.
you
Agreed.
and I come from a generation where we used to say hi to our neighbors, where
Oh
our
yeah.
neighbors used to, babysit us because our parents, they wanted to
Yeah.
go out on a date. So they'd be like, "Yeah, you're going next door to Mrs. So and So's house." Like, we used to
True.
trust our neighbors. 4th of July, we would put benches in the middle of the street, and
Yep.
everybody would pop up, bring food, and we would sit and celebrate the 4th of July together.
Yeah.
Notice you don't see that anymore. Everyone's so divided. They're so
Yeah,
separated.
and I think people are so afraid now. I think,
Yeah,
like, I was we were talking about it. I was at a wedding shower last night with my cousins because my cousin's gonna get married in October. So he had a little get together, and
nice.
we were sitting at a table with my my mom and some of my aunts and uncles who are baby boomers, right? They were born in the 1950s. So it's like we were talking about like, oh hey, yeah, we how when we were kids, they would like leave us at our grandparents' house, and our grandparents I guess they would let us go just run around the street, and we would go walking to like to a park or to a restaurant and stuff like that. You don't see stuff like that anymore, right? You can't do it anymore, obviously, because there's people are so in fear of like predators and something happening to your children getting kidnapped, which it's obviously it's a possibility.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but it was also a possibility back then, right? We were just we didn't have the security that we had. We didn't have the Apple AirTags. We didn't have cell
oh
phones.
yeah,
We had a quarter in our pocket, and if something happened, we would find a payphone and we would call our parents if something went down. I remember getting dropped off at the mall or at the movie theaters. When I
yeah.
was a kid, I would when I was like 10 or 11, I was in a youth bowling league. And even though the bowling alley wasn't that far from my house, it was maybe a couple miles down the road, right? I didn't have a cell phone, right? My parents just said, hey, my parents would give me like the $10 for the bowling games, maybe a couple more dollars for the food. And, say they would say, hey, make sure you have at least $1 left. So if you need to call us from the payphone, call us from the payphone, right? I would
Yep,
also use the bowling alley phone. They would let me use the phone to call home, but
that
it was
sounds like
just
a lot
like
of fun.
we had caller ID back then, right? So they knew if I
Yeah,
was calling from a specific place, hey, that's where that's us. So hey, come pick me up already. I'm ready to get picked up, right? But it was less like where like you were in less fear to leave your children somewhere, um, or drop them off somewhere like to the movies or to the mall, right? Of course, obviously you don't want to leave them alone, right? But like again, like at 10 or 11, I was getting dropped off at places. My parent, I never once, said my heard my parents say, I'm afraid something's gonna happen to you, right? They just kind of, they kind of just taught to us like, hey, always like, watch who you're talking to, stay close to people that right? Common
Yeah.
sense stuff that, maybe that they're afraid to teach their kids now, but it's like, okay, like I'm not like, okay, I'll give an example, right? But like my nephews are gonna turn 19. Their birthday is in a few days, and
Yeah.
they have never once done stuff like that because my sister is so afraid to let them go out and do stuff on their own. You know what I mean? They have driver's
Yeah.
license. They're in their first semester of college now, but also it's like I feel like it's a generational thing where like my nephews, like they just don't want to do anything. They don't have the drive to want to go out and explore and do things on their own. They're very sheltered, right? They grew up in a very sheltered environment because my brother-in-law is an ex-government agent, right? He worked for I'm not going to say which one, but let's just say he worked for one of the major uh, you know agencies that they have out there for the government. And they did he did very well. They grew up in a very sheltered home. My brother-in-law is very conservative. He has guns, to protect, their property and their value, whatnot. But like I said, like, it's just a different generation where like, kids might back then when I was a kid, we were riding bikes everywhere. We were, exploring, maybe not going super far, but far enough to where we could probably get in trouble, if something were to happen,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Um, so like now it's just like kid, you don't see anyone playing outside. I mean, I know we have probably kids in a. I know one of my neighbors has like kids. She has like two or three kids, but I never see them outside. I never see them out there playing in the street doing anything. They have a basketball court, but I never see anyone playing like basketball in their front yard. So it's interesting how times have changed. I hate to say it, right? Our generation was probably like that last generation of kids that were able to go out and knock on their neighbors' doors and ring people's
Yeah.
bells and not get shot or something like that to that extent happening. Because I did hear a story not too long ago where like some guy shot kids that were just doing the little prank where they were just ringing the doorbells to get
Yeah.
neighbors' attention, right? And some guy went and literally shot one of the kids and the kid died. So I get it though. Like I get why this generation of people are not doing things now and why people are so afraid.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how
You have so much stuff like that on social media. I'm sure the guy that did that, obviously probably seen some things where people were doing home invasions.
I mean
He probably thought that's what it was.
he was a Gen Zer, man. The guy that killed Charlie Kirk. He was only a couple of years older than my nephews. I haven't talked to my nephews about it. I would really want to get their opinion on it. But me and my sister were talking about it earlier, and my sister, again, she married a conservative, so she's more on the conservative side now of
Yeah.
things. But even she, like, when it happened, she was like, "Oh, I knew of him, but I never really watched like any of his videos." But now because of it happening, like a lot of people are watching the videos that were put out there. Me, I've been familiar with him because I've seen him over the last a couple of years on TikTok, right? But it's
Yeah.
like, even my sister, who again, votes and is a conservative, right? She even told me, she's like, I really am not like for what some of the stuff that he was saying, you know what I mean? Because she said that he was a little extreme on some things, you know what I mean? I'm not going to tell you guys what. Go watch his videos if you want, right? Go get your opinion on of himself if you want, but at the same time it's just like, if you're conservative, you can still disagree on some things that he was saying,
You don't
right?
have to agree with everything that
Not to
other
agree.
conservatives are doing. I mean, that's the thing. And I don't know. That's what I said. Like they got to stop with this whole gang mentality.
Yeah.
Like in order for you to say you're conservative or Republican, that you have to agree with everything. But before I get further into that, I do want to shout out my wife. I can't
Yeah.
say
I just
what
posted it up.
because people love to like try to like mess with people's personal lives, but I'm really proud of my wife. So um you're in the the retail industry, so you pretty much
Mhm.
know like types of things. But um, so her store sent a certificate to her of recognition because out of her division,
Mhm.
she is she's the fourth. from the top. So her store's number 4 because of all the work that she does with like surveys with customers,
Yeah.
customer service, and yeah. So she's like been scoring huge with the company. They sent her a certificate. Her store number is listed on it, and she's at a
Mhm.
95%.
Awesome.
They're giving her recognition, and I am so proud of my wife because like her store, and I don't know if your store is doing the same thing. You can tell me if
Mhm.
they are, but like
Yeah, yeah.
lately, the labor in her store has been so small that they've literally been running on a skeleton crew. Like
Hmm.
her front end usually consists of her,
Yeah.
uh, and then one of her service supervisors that comes in like mid shift throughout the day, and maybe like one or two cashiers and one person running SCO or self checkout for those who don't
Yeah.
know what SCO means.
Yeah. SEO.
Yeah, so it's a skeleton crew, right? Instead of having like 4 or 5 cashiers and one SCO attendant, and then like an SS, and then the front end manager, it's usually like her running the front end for a couple of hours by herself, having to give breaks to everybody on her team. Because she is one of those that will give you your break. She doesn't make you wait hours until you get a break. She will give you a
Yeah.
break after like 2 hours and then give you your lunch break. She's really good at that. And the way she runs the front end and everything like that, the surveys they get are coming back with a high, positive feedback. Also, getting those surveys done because most customers will just like not even do them. So
Yeah. Yeah.
she was able to reach company goal.
Yeah.
Her store is like 4th in the division, which is really insanely cool because
Yeah.
how many stores are in one particular division and you're beating
Oh
them
yeah.
out. I mean, she's like, I want to bring the certificate home, but I can't. It has to stay in the front end of our store. And I'm like, yeah, your store's got to celebrate, all of y'all's hard work because my wife runs her front end like a team. So it's like team
Great.
effort.
Yeah.
And man, there's like so many times like, like I always, like my wife always vents her frustrations with me. And like there were so many times I was telling her, like, you know what? Like, F that company, just quit, walk away, screw them. And they won't let her leave.
They're
And I told her, it's
not
like,
saying no.
you work too hard and you work too good that they don't want to let you go.
Yeah.
Like they won't even let her switch stores. Like, she had she just had some stuff that went down, and she just thought if she transferred to a different store things would be better, and they were
Yeah.
like, no, we're not gonna let you transfer. Like you're good here. You're gonna stay here. And I'm like, and so when she tells me, I'm like, they're allowed to tell you where you're gonna stay.
For sure.
But I'm glad she didn't go. I'm glad, she buckled down. She, was just like, I'm going to do the best that I can. And I told her, like, yeah, your best is really good. And that certificate proves it. So shout out to my wife. I know she's like full of emotions right now.
Oh
And
yeah.
I couldn't be more proud. So,
Well, I want to congratulate her for that because I know how hard it is, especially in the retail sector, to be in like top five anything, especially when you're working for like a kind of like a conglomeration, I would say, right? Of
yeah.
any type of retail environment that has more than one store. I work in a Texas-based company. They're not really branching out outside of the state, but we do have stores in Mexico, right, out of the
Hmm.
country. And I don't know if I think I've told you probably, but I work in
Yeah.
the e-commerce portion of it, right? So when I first started, I was promptly or strictly retail, and then when pre-COVID they came out with e-stores down here where we do the online shopping and everything for the customers. And when I was in a lead position, right? I'm just a regular worker bee now, but when I was in a lead position, I my team for the store I did work in would actually make like top three, top five in certain areas of the sector, whether it be like sales or like the survey scores, right? We would do like 100% on that, right? A lot of
Hmm.
week to week to week, right? So we were recognized, top sales also, like we would get top
Yeah.
sales in the region because for the company I work for, we have regions. We have the border region, the central region. You have the Houston Dallas areas, right? Each like part of the state of Texas has like its own region. So it's always good to get recognized when your department and your not just your department but your employees are doing good, because that shows that not just you are working hard, but like the employees that you're in charge of are doing a good job also. So
Hmm.
that says a lot, right? You know, because I think that what people don't, I guess realize and especially in retail is that having good morale within a
Hmm.
company is one of the hardest things to do, right? And it all
Yep.
goes back to leadership, right? You could have, you could work for the best company, but if your boss isn't, a twat or an a hole, whatever you want to call them, right? I don't care because I'm not. They're not gonna. They ain't gonna demonetize me on this anyway. I got a
I
following.
just haven't heard anyone use that word, the T
Yeah,
word, in a long
yeah.
time.
If your boss is a twat, and morale is down, that means the work environment is going to be bad. The workers are not going to want to give their full potential, right? And it's not just that, right? But I mean, a lot of it goes into things like pay and partner
Hmm.
recognition, right? Recognizing your employees also, right? Like me, I'm hitting 20 years with the same company in November, right?
Nice.
But recently they had like every year they do this thing for the people that are hitting like yearly milestones, and they had a dinner, I think, or they had like a luncheon, I think, for people that were hitting like 20 plus years, and this year was my 20 year. I didn't go to it unfortunately because I was sick, and also
Ooh.
the drive was about an hour out. They were doing it on the southern portion of where I live, so I'm not close to that area. So if they would have did it closer
Mm.
to me, I might have gone. But they throw a dinner or a lunch for the employees. They have like partner awards and everything like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. But recently, also, like I think we broke a sales record in my department because I work in a smaller store. Even though our
Yeah.
store is like a big store, my company, the store that I work for, is a big store, but like our department is not a very big department. I think we have at least 20 partners in that department, but some of the bigger stores they have like 80 to 100, right? So it just depends on the
Mm.
store. So I work in
Yeah.
a smaller department. So we broke a sales record recently, and like I think they give us like gift cards and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
a part of like having good morale is like recognizing your employees and showing them and doing things for them so that they feel appreciated, because again, retail is not an easy it's not an easy sector to work in, right?
Nope.
And
Trust me, I know.
you work with some of the most dumbass customers that you can meet in your entire life, right? I'm just gonna
My
say
wife
it,
would
right?
probably
Yeah,
my wife would probably agree with you with that, but like that's
yeah,
the thing about her. It's like she can take all that stuff. Like I'm always amazed at
yeah.
what she does.
Hmm.
I don't have the patience to have someone screaming
Yeah.
in my face and calling me, racial slurs. She's had that done to her, and like I tell her the right things, like how to handle things, but in my head, I'm always like, how do you deal with that? Because I couldn't deal with that, and it just makes me so happy to see that that they've recognized her for her hard work with her team, the hard
Hmm.
work that she puts in,
Yeah.
and how much she backs her team. Like I've missed dinners with her. I've missed time with her because there was times where like someone doesn't called in, nobody else wants to come
Hmm.
in, and she's like, you know what, I'll go in, and she just like drops what she's doing. We all go back home. She changes into her uniform, heads to work, and it's like she just worked like an 8-hour shift, and she's going back to close the store, and it's like it's crazy. But I told her eventually it'll pay off, and she just
Yeah.
said, "Hey," like a couple of minutes ago. So hi to my lovely wife.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of her, and I like the picture that she took. I mean, we could crop that, blow it up, print it out, put it in the room.
Yeah.
you know, um, and I think that's the thing, right? It's funny because all these things just kind of intertwine with each other when it comes to
Mhm.
these things that we're talking about. And I think the ultimate message that I would want to put out for everybody out there, is while Mike and I can go on a nostalgic rant about how things were growing up for us when we were kids, the things that we dealt with. Like I don't expect society today to go exactly back to that point. We can't
Yeah.
because there's too many things that have gone on that you just can't say, I'll start trusting my neighbor again. Like no, you
Hmm.
can't. But I think the one thing that's missing is just interactions outside of the digital world. Like get off the matrix. You don't meet friends only on Facebook and X and Threads and
Hmm.
stuff. You can. when you walk by somebody in the store, whether they look scary or they don't look scary, or they look like assholes or they don't look like assholes, say hello. It doesn't hurt to say hello to somebody.
Yeah,
It doesn't hurt to be polite to people, even
yeah,
if they are kind of rude back to you. Like, don't take it personal because maybe they had a very shitty day at work and they're just not in the mood for it. And you never know. That simple hello, that simple
yeah.
gesture of opening the door from the store for them to walk out or walk in, you know, you may not see a direct impact right then and there, but I guarantee that person leaves and it thinks to themselves like, shit, that person just opened the door for me and said hello, and I was a fucking dick about it. Like, I know people are not in their minds to be like, I wanted to be a dick because you were nice to me. Like, no,
Yeah.
they do think about it. It just hits them later because there are things we deal with today. We got companies that are running, with skeleton crews because they don't want to pay so much in labor, and they're trying to save that. Like, I didn't even know how retail chains worked till like my wife was in that position and she was like trying to write out a schedule for her team. She's like, "This sucks.
Mhm.
They only gave me this much labor. I got so and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
coming to me. Like, I can't pay my rent on these hours." But that's all she can give because they hand her like X amount of dollars. This is what you got for the week for your crew.
Mhm.
She's got it divided up. She also has to be mindful for those that have seniority that have been with the company 15 years, 20 years. Obviously they're
Yep.
going to be given first pick of the hours that they're going to get, and then it trickles down to whatever she has left for the rest of the crew. And I never knew that. I always thought like, oh, you're guaranteed 40 hours. Nope, you're
Yeah,
not.
I mean, because that's true. I mean, and the thing is, like, not most retail sector jobs, unless you're a manager or like an assistant manager, you're not going to
Yep,
be a full time employee. It's rare.
yep.
The company I work for, in some positions, it just depends on the position. You can be a titled full time employee. That means like you'll get your vacation benefits, your medical
Mhm.
benefits, etc. like that. Some people have to work up to it. Like when I was in a lead role, I was a titled full time employee. But when I stepped down, I'm no longer a full time employee. So
Yep.
I don't get 40 hours every week. I'll just be honest with you guys right now. Like I think I do get insurance with the company though, so I do have to maintain a specific amount of hours. So like let's say for instance my boss, she might only give me like 4 days, that might
Yeah.
not add up to like the 30 some hours that I try to get per week. So I do try to pick up in like other departments. But the
Gig
good
work.
Yeah. Or I do gig work, right? But also at the same time, like I'm lucky enough to where my store has this thing called networking now where you can actually pick up hours at other surrounding stores, right? So like let's say
Oh,
somebody
cool,
from
cool.
another store is giving away hours in your department, you're already trained that you know what to do. You can just go from one store to another and work and help out. So that's good. And also you can cross train in other departments, right? So I'm lucky enough to be cross trained in another department. So like I can just reach out to their manager and be like, hey, I did this earlier this past week where I told them, hey, I only got scheduled 4 days this coming week. If you guys need an extra head, these are the days I'm available. And she replied saying, like, yeah, I need you on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I actually need to reach out to her and let her know, hey, what time do you want me to go in? Because she told me I need you Tuesday, but she didn't tell me what time. So I'm like, but I told her I usually tell her anytime after 7 a.m. because like, I have open availability, right? And
Yeah.
in that department, sometimes they want you to go in like at 4 o'clock in the morning to go like, help out the overnighters and finish the overnight load and then start working on like the morning stuff. But I'm just like, I don't think I want to go in that early anymore. Like I think I'm at the point where my I'm 39, right? My sleep schedule is more important than the hours that I'm working at work. So it's tough, right? I get your wife's side on the scheduling. Like I would have to a store or department has a budget to work with, right? I remember when I was making schedules for my last when I was a lead, I would only get a specific amount of hours to work with, and sometimes like you said, you're in a skeleton crew, right? You might not get the amount of heads that you need to work for a specific day, right? Luckily, COVID happened, right, and it blew up after COVID. So like online ordering like blew up, man. So like I went from a crew of only like 20 people to like 70 people at one point. So we went from a daily schedule of maybe like 60 hours, right? That includes the manager the full-time lead. So that's already 16 hours right there, your manager and your full-time lead,
Yeah.
that have to work with. And then you only have another, like, 40 or 50 hours to work with. So you have to plug in heads at the right times, and you have to know, like, where to put people, what time are your peak hours, when are your slow hours, right? So what time
Yep.
can you afford to have lesser people, right? Like, do I schedule heavier in the morning or at nighttime, right? What are your peak hours,
Efficiencies.
right? Like, because again, sometimes, you overschedule, and then, people are just twiddling their
Yeah.
thumbs. And then you end up having to send people home, or you ask people, hey, do you want to go home so that we can make labor for the day, right? So I totally get that, right? I, even though I don't do
Yeah.
that anymore, like, I see the frustration on my bosses' faces, and going back to, like, small gestures, right? You know, just doing kind things, for people that you work with, saying hi, buying them an
Yeah.
energy drink, right? Buying them a coffee, right? Offering, me as a part-time employee, I don't get scheduled full 8-hour shifts. Sometimes we'll get a 5-hour shift. I'll get a 7-hour shift. I think the max I get now is a 7-hour shift. But if they're struggling, right? Offer your boss, saying, hey, I can go in early if you guys are, need extra help, or if you guys need me to stay, I can stay a little bit extra today, help out, right? And sometimes they'll like I said, they'll do stuff for me, like they'll buy me a coffee, or they'll give me like a $5-10 gift card so I can buy lunch for the day, right? Because I don't typically take lunch to work. I usually, since I work in a grocery store, I just eat there. I buy something at the store, so I'll waste, like, some days I'll waste a good, like, $5 or $6, buying something. So, sometimes they'll cover it. They'll be like, hey, thanks for helping out. Today I'm going to cover your lunch, or this, and that. Or they'll give you an extra 5 minutes on break. They'll be like, hey, because typically I only get like one break depending on the shift. But if it's a longer shift, I'll get two breaks. So that'll add up to about 30 minutes. So we don't get, I don't clock out for lunch. Some places they
Yeah.
make you clock out for like an hour, and it's mandatory. But luckily, I work for a company where, you get a paid break. You don't have to clock out for lunch. So little things like that, I think they're advocating more for mental health now in my company. Also, they're actually, like, pushing out, like, this
Mm.
app that you can download, where you could call and set appointments and talk to people. If you're not doing good mentally, like, they're really advocating for it now, right? Ever since COVID happened, man, like that, I think they're
Yeah.
advocating for it now, because I think they realized that a lot of people, they burned out, right? They burned out during that time, and they were actually giving people the option to not come to work during that time also. When and people opted in for it, right? Of course, it was going to be non-paid time, right? If you're going to take, like, an
Yeah.
LOA, if you're going to take a leave of absence, it's going to be non-paid. But a lot of these people were married with children. They were the spouse of somebody that had a primary job, right? So they could afford it, right? But some people couldn't, right? Like myself, like, I was in a position where my boss ended up taking the time off during that time because um she had a sick relative that was, going through cancer stuff. So she took a leave of absence, like, right when that was going down. So I was like, oh, shit, you know what I mean? Like, I had to really step up, and it was stressful for me, but, like, I learned a lot, and they were able to depend on me for a lot of stuff. Would I go back to that time? Never again. I think I would probably I would probably do things differently, you know what I mean? But it was definitely a
Yeah.
different time, to be living, between 2020 and 2022. It was definitely tough. But anyways,
Yeah.
just
Definitely.
going back to it, just be nice, be kind to your workers, uh, ask them, like, you don't have to get super personal, but ask them, hey, how's your day going? Some people will
Yep.
tell you, like, hey, I'm not having a good day, or, some of them might, confide in you, and they say, like, hey, my kid was sick, or, I had to take my parents to the doctor, stuff like that. You know what I mean? I mean, we all have
Yeah.
families, right? We all get sick, having a better understanding, not thinking that we're just machines. We're people that have feelings. We get stressed out. Like, I'm always confiding into my department lead, not so much my boss, because my boss, I don't really want her to know, like, the things things about me or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
My
I'll
wife
keep.
said thank you, by the way.
You're welcome, by the way, if she's still watching. So I appreciate it. But I definitely get where she's coming from, and
Yeah.
how hard it is, and how stressful it is, and the amount of time, I mean, for me, I was commuting, man. I was commuting about an hour a day from when I was in that lead
Ooh.
position, because it was far out, man. That job was a little further out than where I'm doing it now. So doing it all during that time and having to deal with stress and family, being sick and whatnot, it's a lot, man. So
Yeah,
people
it's
that are out
definitely
there,
tough.
if you're in a leadership role and you watch my YouTube channel, whether it be like white collar or blue collar work, right? I would consider anything retail blue collar work. Yes, you're not putting
Mm.
houses together, but you're
No,
still,
but you're still doing physical
yeah,
work,
you're still doing a lot of physical labor. Yes. So, people hurt themselves, right? I had to deal with people that were constantly hurting their backs or getting injured on the job, right? And we would lose people because they would have to take time off because,
Oh
they
yeah.
got hurt on the job, right? Luckily I never got hurt on the job, but I remember a couple of times I hit my head and I had to report it. They were like, "Oh yeah, you have to report it if something happened." You know what I mean? Even if it was something
Yeah.
basic, because it could affect you later on. And my company, luckily, if you get hurt on the job, they send you to a doctor and they pay for it. Like, they pay for you to get checked and whatnot. And if you have to take like any type of medical leave of absence after getting hurt on the job, they will give you like a paid leave. They won't pay your full benefits.
Is it like 60%
It's
of like
like
what
I
you normally
think I
get?
think it was like 60, like, because I mean, you remember when I broke my collarbone a couple of years
Yeah.
back. I didn't do it on the job, but because I was a full time employee at the time, I was able to get paid. Like, I was able to get paid leave because I was full time. So it wasn't like, I think it was like maybe like 80%, honestly, my company.
Yeah. My wife's
But
company is like 60,
yeah,
67% is
yeah,
what
it just
they
depends.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like me,
Well,
maybe it was. I really don't know. I don't remember. Like, I just remember, yeah, my paycheck was smaller, but I was still getting a paycheck. They were still paying me.
yeah.
So I was very lucky and fortunate for that to happen. I think as a part timer, I would still get it, but again, it's like a portion of what you're getting paid also. So if I had to take like a medical leave of absence, like if I broke a bone or something like that, they would still technically pay me. I would just have to submit paperwork and whatnot. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, having stuff like that, it does help, but like, it's not always permanent. It does expire after a while. So,
Yeah.
being
You can only
healthy,
be on so long.
yeah, yeah, being healthy is very important,
It
to
is.
be able to work in these companies, because, again, the second that, you're not able to work, they're gonna just replace you like in a second, right? Oh, Mike can't
Oh
come to
yeah.
work. So yeah, just be aware of that, guys. Don't take the job too seriously. This is something I was talking to my lead about, because I was in her position, and I see her stressing out all the time,
Yeah.
when it comes to like getting stuff done. And I was like, don't stress out, because like at the end of the day, like, it's just a job. Yes, maybe, this is your career right now, but that, they could fire you at any moment, they could replace you at any moment. She was
Hmm.
actually out with like a knee injury. She had to get surgery on her knee. And she's still having issues. So I think she told me that she might have to get like another surgery on her knee. And the thing is, like, they were not paying her at one point because she was taking too much time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
luckily she's married, and she had a husband to fall back on, but not all of us do, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say that were to happen to me and I didn't have anything to fall back on. I'd be out there with a broken collarbone still doing Uber Eats, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thankfully, I get a small check from YouTube, and I make a little bit of extra money doing my gig work. But if a lot of people don't have that option, a lot of people are disabled and they can't go out and do work, right? So count your blessings, people. Is all I'm gonna say, is just
Yeah.
count your blessings. If you're healthy, if you're able to walk and get up and do stuff, like, appreciate it, because some people can't. And not just that, but some people just don't have the mental capacity to have a job, is what I'll say, right? Some people
Yeah.
can't have jobs because of bipolar disorder, stuff that we generally don't talk about, right? And um or people get triggered, right? They have such bad anxiety or just mental illness in general, right? People don't take that into effect. I don't want to rub people the wrong way when I say this, but like, a lot of people on the right think that just because you can walk and move your two hands, that you can go out and work. But no, it's like, some people like really just are so messed up in the head that they really just can't go out and get a regular job. They have social anxiety, they have all of these
Hmm.
maybe disorders, maybe that they don't recognize it because they don't have it and they haven't had to deal with it because they don't have family members that deal with stuff like that in today's society, right? But it's out there, man.
Yeah,
So just want people to be aware of that, right? Be aware of how people are, and it's just not a physical thing; it's also a mental thing as well. So I don't know. Is
yeah.
there anything you want to add to that? I'm kind of like just went out of the.
No, 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 no. I mean, yeah, you have you have these things whether you want to recognize them or not. I mean,
Yeah,
I think it falls down to like people's truths. One person's truth cannot be the other person's truth,
yeah,
and it's if it's not an experience that you've ever dealt with, just because you haven't dealt with that experience doesn't mean it's not an experience to somebody.
yeah.
I think that's the thing. Like, so it's like it's very contradictory how I look at things, because it's like when it comes to stuff like that, it's more of my take is more of like, just because you didn't experience doesn't mean you have a right to cancel it. Mind
Yeah.
your business type of thing.
Hmm.
But then at the same time too, I'm more like, be vocal with your neighbors, like like say hi to them every now and
Hmm.
then. Be inviting. But I mean, again, it always comes down to perspectives on things. There are
Yeah.
things that you should be social about. There are things that you don't need to be involved in. Some
Yeah.
people's lives, whatever they do, you don't need to be involved in. Now, yes, I get why some people would cry about that, to a degree where they would just be like, yeah, go out there and get a job, because ultimately, whether we want to admit it or not, the ones that are paying for that assistance and helps are us. It's taken out of our checks in the
Hmm.
form of taxes. So I get why people feel like that they have a right or reason to say. But again, at the end of the day, leave it to the professions, leave it to the
Yeah.
doctors to decide. We all have an opinion, and the one thing I live my life by is what my father taught me, and that is, opinions are like assholes, and everybody's got one.
You got them. Yep.
So, one asshole is not going to smell greater than the other. They all smell the same. It all smells like
Everyone's
shit.
shit stinks. Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Everyone's shit
like,
stinks. That's like a,
just,
a phrase that I heard a lot growing up. You know
yes,
what I mean?
it's true. People just gotta like stop making everything a reason to fight. Not
Yeah.
everything needs to be fought about. And
Yeah, like people should like look for like not like the good in people, and like you said, like we could disagree on political stances, but we could still be friends. Like I could still like, yeah, I
yeah,
mean, obviously, I mean, you and me are good buddies, even though we're not, we don't live near each other. I mean, shit, if you lived here, I'd be like, hey, Tito, let's go hang out somewhere, like, or hey,
yeah,
I would be like, I would tell you, hey man, why aren't you inviting me on these nature walks with your family, man? I would go, like, just to get out of the house. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, hiking's
Like,
are
hey, invite
fun
me,
as
bro. I'll
hell.
go. I'll take pictures of you with your fucking Pixel 10s over here. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I don't have enough friends like that. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I have friends. Like, I have friends that I do certain things with. Like, I have friends that are wrestling fans, or I have friends that this and that. But I don't. I feel like I don't have friends that are like on that deep level, like you and me, like where we can just talk about stuff like this, and because I don't want, like, I hate to say, I don't want to offend anyone, or I don't want to trigger anybody like about
well,
things,
yeah. I
right?
mean, nobody wants to offend anybody, and you know what? Like, it's not also about you offending somebody. It's also about like people
Yeah,
being super sensitive. Like,
yeah,
you have a different perspective. There
yeah,
are some things that I'll be honest. There's some things that you said that I may not fully 100% agree with,
yeah,
but I'm not going to tell you anything about it,
yeah.
because it's your right to think and believe that way.
Same, yeah,
And if we disagree on it, like I go back to what I said, not everything has to be a battle. I don't need to debate you on your
yeah,
thoughts. Like, what the hell for? I'm not trying to convert you. You're my
yeah,
friend. And if politics is not a subject,
yeah,
so fine. It's not the end of the world. We have wrestling, we have tech, we have other
yeah,
BS in life that we could talk about. Not
yep,
everything has to be a battlefront. And I think that's where people kind of need to get back to that sense of reality. Social
mhm,
media is not a tool for you to just slander everybody.
yeah,
Be friends. And if two people cannot see eye to eye, and this
mhm,
is what I don't understand, is you're not in the same exact space. There's miles between people, and yet they still see the need to argue and fight. It's like, why? Get off social media, and that's why they say go touch some grass.
yeah,
Because then you ain't watching that person. You ain't seeing their comments. You're not in the same town. You're not going to see each other. This is like the same reason when people like were beefing in the tech community a couple years back. That was pretty stupid. And why I
mhm,
wasn't so vocal about it. It's like, what was the point? Said person that made me upset lives in a different place. what are we going to gain from going back and forth and doing all these tit for tat things? Nothing. Like I wanted to bring tech videos to people, and that's why I just kept focusing on tech, kept putting those
Hmm.
videos out. It's like nothing needs to be a battle. I would rather be friends with people. I would rather have 10 friends that didn't agree with everything that I said, because then
Hmm.
life would be boring as hell too. I like having a bit of diversity in my friend group. I
Yeah.
like people thinking a different way. I like to hear different perspectives, because then it just it jogs my brain to think more and more and more. And that's like one of the
Hmm.
things that I really love about life, is that I'm not in school, but I love to learn. I love to learn new perspectives, learn new cultures,
Yeah.
learn, new foods and new things. Like my I guess that's from my dad being in the military
Hmm.
and being stationed at different countries, different places. Like you learn things, and so I'm always open to hearing different sides. It's just so much fun for me. I don't take
Yeah.
things personally.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I mean, I definitely didn't grow up in like this a similar background, but like I grew up in a more like where I live, man. Like a lot of people don't live this area, man. So like I've never really wanted to move out of like the state or anything, just because like I'm comfortable living here where I live. But like if my finances were different, I would probably not live in the United States. If I could be 100% honest with you, man,
Where'd you
I
go?
would move to Japan or like or like
Yeah.
North Korea or something like that. Somewhere
North
somewhere
Korea.
where or not North Korea.
You
I'm sorry,
can't get
South
it.
Korea. South Korea.
I'm
My
about to
my bad.
say you,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah. No,
sneak
no,
into
no.
North
Yeah,
Korea, you're stuck. You
yeah,
can't get back out.
yeah. Or I would like go somewhere that has like beautiful scenery, like always. Obviously Japan. Like I have a friend. I have a few friends that I know that live in Japan. Like I have a friend that lives out there that she moved. Her and her husband moved before COVID, or like literally months before COVID happened, and they have not come back to the United States, right? And I'm
Yeah.
sure, like from all the videos and stuff that they see, they probably don't want to come back. And I've seen videos where, like, people are just so much more at ease in other countries that have moved out of the U.S. Right? Interviews where they just, they talk about differences, right? And not to say like I'm not saying hey the U.S. is bad, right? But like if like I said, if financiers were there, I would probably not live here, right? I mean, because like people think that we have all these freedoms in the U.S., but a lot of other people have these freedoms in other countries, and people are not getting, murdered on the street. They're not, getting assassinated. Like,
Yeah.
not all these hate crimes are happening, right? The cost of living is just so much better in like other parts of the world, right? They pay for a lot of things are so much cheaper, like electricity, your phone bills are like non-existent in other parts of the world, man, because those are like considered necessities. So like
Yeah.
the government and they don't charge a lot for these accessibilities, right? So I'm just like, man, like I gotta share a YouTube channel with you later on that I've been following, but from this guy that's literally like traveling Japan. He's like Japanese, but he speaks English. But like I think you would like his channel. He's basically like traveling throughout Japan. Like his goal is to like do all of the prefectures in Japan. And
Hmm.
he what he does is he collects a sticker. He's doing it on a moped, by the way. So he's traveling on a moped, and he like rigged up his moped to like have like these little things on him. He's putting stickers from each prefecture that he visits, and he's literally living in internet cafes, dude. Like that, they only charge like maybe like $7 or $8 to stay a night,
Hmm.
dude. So that's crazy,
That's
man. And the
crazy.
thing is, like like these internet cafes, they offer like laundry. They offer like some of them will offer like a free meal, like or you can go like get a
Oh yeah.
ramen cup or whatever. But it's interesting, like the culture, like just seeing the culture. So I'll share that one of those. I'll share his YouTube channel one of these days. I love watching his channel.
Yeah.
He's hilarious, and he's from our generation. I think he's like my age. I think he's like 39 or 40 already. I think so.
There's a YouTuber that I watch. I don't know. You probably may have seen his channel
Which
if it
one?
ever popped up and suggested
Give me a
for
name.
that
Give me an
guy,
A.
Paulo from Tokyo.
Oh yeah, I've seen his videos. He like goes and
Yeah,
he'll like interview. He'll do like day in the lives of
day in the
people.
life of a
Yeah,
ramen
yeah.
chef.
His
Video game designer.
yeah.
It's so cool.
I've seen his videos. I don't follow him, but his videos will sometimes pop up. I watch. I don't know if you've seen Oriental Pearl. She's like,
Yeah,
oh, she's from the U.S. though, but like I think like she married somebody from Japan, so now she's like officially like a part of like their citizenship or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, I've seen hers. I've seen some guy named Takashi, I think, who he's just like a
Uh
man
huh.
on the street. He'll interview like Americans or people visiting the country, or he'll interview like Japanese people and ask them like, hey, would you want to go visit, or who would you marry, this and that. So yeah, it's popped up on my feed, but yeah, his videos are very cool. Like I think the one I remember was him like following like a day in the life of like an arcade, like someone that worked at like an arcade over there. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And it's crazy to see like their life and like how clean and like just how clean their areas are, like even their
yeah,
apartments, like seeing their apartments, I'm like, I feel like this is so fake, like seeing it in but that's just
yeah.
how
It's
they
like,
live, that's how they live over there, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
it is.
crazy.
It is true to that. My dad being stationed out there, and then for times,
Yeah.
like I've been to Nagoya, Japan. I've been to Osaka, and
Mhm.
so it's like when people is like, "Is it truly clean?" Like like clean out there. It's
It
like,
is,
yes,
man.
it
It's
is. I mean,
crazy.
there are some things that like people would not think. It, like for instance, yes, Japanese people are for the most part they are polite, they are friendly,
Yeah.
they are, but they do respect each other's spaces. So
Yeah.
when like someone comes to visit Japan, they feel weird when they go up to someone to ask for directions,
Yeah.
and their body language and their expression seems a little reserved, and it's
Yeah.
because they're not used to that. Like we will say hi in passing, but like we don't like go up to somebody and say hi,
Yeah.
and because you're kind of invading their space, unless they
Mhm.
have like an open demeanor is when it's
Yeah.
okay. But if they're like focused on doing something, like if you're walking by and a lady's outside sweeping the front of the porch area, she's doing something, you don't get into her space and then just
Mhm.
start talking to her. I mean, you
Yeah.
could call her from across the street, she responds. If you're looking for a place, you could be like, I'm trying to find a place. She'll tell you if she knows where it's at or she doesn't. But you never get up in their space unless you're invited in. And
Mhm.
you don't litter. You don't litter. I mean, just because they don't know you, you will get scolded
Oh
if you
yeah.
just like throw your stuff on the ground. They don't believe in that type of stuff. Like they love to respect. Ultimately, in Japan,
Like
as it seems like
cleanliness,
a
yeah.
yeah, it seems like a cliche thing, but they are about being clean. I mean, even at restaurants,
Yeah.
there are people who will wipe the table when they're done eating. They don't leave it to the workers
Mhm.
to do it. Um, Same way with like eating food. Like uh, one thing I had to learn the hard way. A woman was she got offended. I finished my bowl of ramen that she made, and
Mhm.
she was slightly offended, not in a bad way. She just felt bad, and I was like telling my dad, I was like, like why does she feel so bad for it? And my dad's like, oh, like he's like, in Japan they don't believe that you have to finish your plate of food. As a matter of fact, it's almost a sign of that the person who fed you didn't give you enough. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm like, but you always tell me to finish my food and don't waste it. And my dad's like,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to do that here. Like, okay.
Yeah,
And
no, yeah, I've seen it, like, in the videos that the guy that I showed, like, they give very, very good portions over there,
Yeah,
like,
they
honestly.
do. And so like I'm a fat ass, so I can clear those bowls out. And like
Yeah.
I didn't know that finishing an entire plate, leaving nothing behind, wasn't a sign of respect. It was actually a sign of disrespect. Like you're saying they didn't feed you enough. So it's
Mhm.
like there's all these little weird things, right? Like a friend of mine was talking about, that one forest that, Logan Paul went to and got heat for
Oh, yeah.
going there. And I tell him like,
Yeah.
yes, it's a real thing. And I had to explain it to him. And he's like, why did they use, like name tags and yarn? And I'm like, they use it so if they go through with what they're thinking about doing, their family can retrieve them and then do a burial for them. That's
Yeah.
why they do it. But it's not like in the opening area. Like I know exactly where that forest is. You have to walk like almost an hour into the woods, and there's a
Mhm.
wooden fence that has a sign that tells you that this is where the unalive force begins. And
Yeah.
before you get to it, you'll know you're close because like 10 minutes before you get to the actual fence, there's all these signs that are like inspiring words, like, you're important to somebody, don't give up. Like it says these things as you're walking that trail, to
Mhm.
try and divert you from doing what you're thinking about doing. But other than
I'm
that,
sorry.
Japan is such a beautiful place to live,
Yeah.
whether it's in the cities like Tokyo, Osaka, and all those places, or if you're going out into the countries. It's very beautiful. The culture there is very beautiful. Like I would, hell, for maybe one day, just you and I as like a bros trip can freaking hop a flight to Japan, stay a
Can
week
you
out there.
imagine? That would be
That would be
amazing.
yeah, because I mean, I'm gonna nerd out on the Pokemon Go store center out there. You take the subway to it, and then you got
Should.
a bunch of friggin' inflatable Pikachu's when you get off the train. But I would love to go back there. The food
Like,
is
I would feel
excellent.
like I would wanna take, like, a lot of pictures and videos, but I also know that, like, in some areas of, like, of Japan, like, it's considered, like, disrespectful to be like taking pictures and filming also, like just depending on where you're at, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
I
you have to
sent
be
you,
careful where.
yeah, I
You
sent
can
you the
always
link.
ask for permission.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I know. I sent you the link on that YouTube channel, man. You know, he
I'm gonna
has
check
older
it out
videos, but I
afterwards.
sent you. I think that was like the first video that I saw that he had posted. So I sent you that one. But whenever you get the chance, you know, his videos are not usually that long. They're usually like about 20 minutes, and he'll go live. You
Yeah.
know, so it'll be like dark over there, but it'll be like early morning over here. So I sometimes will catch his lives, and he's a funny guy to watch, man. Like, so I mean, check his channel out, man. But yeah, if
I'm
I like I
definitely gonna
said,
check it out.
if I ever win the lottery, man, believe me, man, that'll be one of the first things I do. You know, I'll be like, hey, Tito, I'm gonna fly out over there. I'm picking you and your family up, dude. We're gonna go to Japan for a couple days. You know what I mean?
Oh, that would be totally awesome. Like, yeah, that's one of the things that I do. So, like with my kids, that's one of the things that I tell them. Like so much that my daughters and I have conversations. I always tell them like, look, you have all your life to have kids and settle down. I told them, make me a promise, just in case if anything happens to me and I'm not around when you become an adult. I made them promise me that they're gonna go see the world.
Yeah,
Like, for them to really understand where I come from, because like I said, my dad's military, I come from a military family, so I got to experience different mindsets, different cultures, different
mhm.
perspectives, food and everything. And I told them, like, I want you guys to experience the world. This will help you understand that people are ultimately different. Everyone is an individual, and
Yeah,
we should celebrate individualism in the same way that we also celebrate unity. It's good to
mhm.
be unified in levels of respect, but it's also to respect each other's, individualism, things that, we like that may differ from other people, or things we agree with that others disagree with, but still be able to find common ground. And common ground doesn't mean finding something where you guys say exactly agree on. Even agreeing to disagreeing is common ground. It's like, okay, we're at a stalemate. I'm not going to push your buttons. You're not going to push my buttons. Fuck it. Let's
Mhm.
talk about something else. We I really hope that people could see our interaction, to see that not everything has to be a battle and people can be friends.
Yeah,
I really pray for the world to come out of this madness that it's in, because I have to worry not for myself, but for my kids and my future grandkids, what type of life they're going to be in and what my grandkids are going to be born into. I think is my ultimate worry.
yeah,
I can tolerate anybody under the sun as long as you don't lay your hands on me. We're copacetic. But
yeah,
most people today, they get real sensitive, and it's like, it's okay to have sensitivity to things. It's okay to have feelings. Just remember that, like, your feelings are your feelings, and you should not be afraid to openly say, I feel like this. But not everything has to be on Front Street where you have to just randomly tell people I feel like this. Like, no, I think that's
yeah.
one of the dangers of social media. uh I don't know, man. you know we need more understanding. We need
Yeah, I
more
think
love. We
yeah.
need more
I
care.
mean, I definitely agree, and I think traveling and doing stuff like that does help. But I also think it comes
Mhm.
from home, right? You know, if you live in a household that really just focuses on one thing and doesn't try to teach you, hey, there are other cultures and religions
Mhm.
out there that that exist, right? You know, obviously, I mean, I think the first thing as a child notices when you're in school is like, oh, hey, why is that kid a different skin color or something like that? Like, why am I white
Yeah.
opposed to black? And trying to kind of help teach your kid, hey, this person might be from this area of the world, right? Maybe their family or descendants come from that part of the world. So of course, it's not growing up. I don't remember ever learning about stuff like that in history class, right? Too much, right?
Yeah, they didn't go
Uh,
too much
but
into
but
that.
they want to bring the Bible and the Ten Commandments back into school, but they don't want to teach Americans about other cultures. I mean, yes, I remember little things here and there, right? Growing
Yeah.
up, but nothing like major, like hey, like doing a book report on China or something like that, or different countries, etc., like that. But again, it also comes from home, not just school, right? Teaching,
Yeah, you gotta, it depends on the people at home. Like, I'll share a
Mhm,
story with you. This is kind of funny. It sprung up back into my head. I
mhm,
I remember getting picked on a lot in first grade, and it really wasn't, because of like who I am, what my ethnicity is, or anything like that. But I had a friend, and if like for some random reason in life that this friend that was like my best friend in first grade happens to come across this podcast and happens to listen all the way towards this point of the podcast,
Right.
a lot of kids in my class didn't want to be friends with him because I don't know if you ever heard of this terminology, but he was peg legged. So like his
Yeah.
legs were bent a certain way, so when he walked, he had a slight wobble to his walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people found him to be weird. So like no one really wanted to be his friend. And I remember it was like the first 2 days of first grade. So I ended up like hanging out with him because he was like on the playground because we brought our own lunches to school back in the day. And after we ate our lunches, we would put our lunch
Yep.
boxes up and we would go out to the playground. And he was always playing by himself. So I asked if I could play with him. And then we just built a friendship on that from there. And I would always tell people I didn't become his friend because, I felt like he had a disability or anything like that. I looked beyond that. The reason I became his friend, truthfully, was because he had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt on.
Right.
And I was like, okay, he likes Ninja Turtles. I like Ninja Turtles. So I went up to him and we sparked a conversation. And it's like, yeah, let's play and let's be Ninja Turtles. What turtle are you? And he would pick his choice. I'd pick my choice. And then like these other kids would try to pick on him. And because they would try to pick on him, like I'm always the type to stick up for my friends. I don't care if you're my friend. I don't care if you're right or wrong. In that moment, if someone is trying to fight you, like I'm going to stand with you 100% and we're going to whoop their ass or die trying. But if you're in the wrong, I'll tell you you're in the wrong after we kick their ass and we've left and
Hmm.
we're in a safe space. Then I'll be like, yeah, man, you fucked up, But so I'm always like that. So in his situation, they wanted to bully him, and my dad, he would never ground me. He would never whip me with the belt. He would never do none of that stuff. And one day I asked my dad why, and my dad's like, he's like, I know why you fought. You didn't fight for a stupid reason. You didn't cause a fight, so you're not in trouble. You were only sticking up for your friend, and you were sticking up for yourself. And
Hmm.
having real friends in life is very hard to find.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having friends for so many years doesn't come by so easily. Which is like, even though like my brother Ruben, who's not my biological brother,
Hmm.
we're brothers because like we acted like biological brothers.
Yeah.
um, we got into so much trouble, and my dad did not like him. He thought he was like a bad influence to be around. But
Yeah.
today, my dad respects the hell out of him to the point where,
Hmm.
my dad tells him like even though he's not his biological father, that he takes my friend as like a son to him, and it's because me and Ruben have been friends for 22 years now.
Hmm.
It's crazy for how long. It's like you and I. I know my dad will have mad respect for you because even though we haven't met in person, but you and I have been friends, and I like to say we're friends, no matter what people say. We've been friends for so long. It's been what,
Shit, what
2011.
year are we in? What year are we in?
We're in 2025, so it's like what,
Close
14
to
years.
15 years. Yeah, close to 15
Yeah,
years already. Yeah.
and it's not easy
Crazy.
to come by. Like, I mean,
Crazy. Yeah.
there are guys that I've podcasted with, Carlos and Sneed, and yeah, they're the homies and everything like that. Every now and then,
Hmm.
they do chat with me. Most times they don't. They, so, and I'm not saying anything bad about them. I'm just saying
Yeah.
like on the friendship level between me and Sneed is not like on the same friendship level as you and I. And it's only because you and I communicate more outside of the whole tech space. Every now and then,
Yeah.
Sneed will say hi to me. So like he's like he's a friend.
Yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, there's a difference between the friendship I have with you versus him or with Carlos.
Yeah.
Which, by
Yeah.
the way, shout out to Carlos. Man, I hope everything's okay with him. Like, I've
Yeah.
reached out to him.
I
I haven't
remember
got
seeing
nothing
it.
back.
I remember seeing a tweet not too long ago. I know he wasn't going through a good time right now. So
Yeah, and I'm just hoping that he finds his way out of it. It's really, I mean, not really out of it because you can't really get out of it. I mean, I lost a
hmm.
mother. I can't say what it would be like for me if I lost my wife. That's totally different.
Yeah.
And I pray a lot for him. I pray that, every day that he wakes up the next day, that there's some semblance of just peace that comes upon him.
Yeah.
Because, man, when the news broke, I cried.
Yeah.
I cried because I can only imagine what he's going through. And,
Hmm.
I just hope that, everything will be okay as far
Yeah.
as like, the healing that he needs to go through. And I'm a very emotional person. I attach emotionally to people. So, like, if something was to happen to you, like really bad, of course, I would do the same thing. I'd cry. It may not
Yeah.
make sense to other people, but I don't need it to make sense to other people. It's just when you have people in your life that stick with you through a lot, they're not
Hmm.
hard. They're not, easy to come by. It's hard to have that kind of friendship.
Yeah.
You respect it and you don't take it for granted. and that means more to
Yeah,
me than any political position, any religious position. It don't matter. You can hate everything that I like, and I'm still going to be your
yeah,
friend. It just, we'll just have to find something that we
yeah.
both agree to like and
Yeah.
play off of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it should be, right? I think, like when I mentioned earlier that people are nowadays being brought up to kind of be scared of something something that's different, right? Maybe when I was growing up, I didn't see what I see now, right? Because obviously when you're a kid, you listen to your parents or whoever is in charge of you. So if your mom says, "Hey, don't talk to that person," because of this, right? You're most likely gonna believe them, right? But you
Yeah.
don't know you don't know their situation or whatever. What I mean, okay, maybe they were a troublemaker, but maybe there's a reason why they were a troublemaker, right?
Hmm.
Maybe they didn't have someone to discipline them at home. Maybe again, maybe their parents were not parenting, like being good parents, right? Also, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I look at it that way because there was kids that were a little more on the bully side that I grew up with. I think one of them became a police officer, and I was like, "Whoa, that came full circle." Well, he was a bully. I remember that guy being a bully. Um, and something to that extent, right? And I was like, oh, okay, going from that to protecting and serving others. You know what I mean? And um, it's just when you're a kid, also you could feel intimidated, right? With certain things, right? Again, like I said, maybe things you
Yeah.
don't understand. Um, maybe some kids are more open about things than others, right? And again, I won't get
Yeah.
into like 100% details, right? But like I said, some people don't shelter their kids as much as others, right, when it comes to certain topics. So like me personally, like I feel like I grew up in a household where luckily I was able to even though I didn't have like a lot of friends outside of school, I grew up with neighbors that we played with, and saw and hung out with every day up until maybe we were about teenagers, right? So like once we got into like
Yeah.
junior high school, everyone kind of separated, right? But at the same time, like we still had that commonality. We would still say if we saw each other in the street or whatever, we still say hi. We still kind of give the respect and nod our heads off to the other person, right? A lot of people I grew up with, I'm in the house that I grew up in right now, right? But pretty much everybody that grew up around me are gone. They live out of the city, they live out of state now. My brother,
Stop.
oh,
My
hello.
alarm just went off. Sorry.
Okay. I mean, hey,
I
if
got a
you have
couple of minutes.
yeah, if you have to go, and just let me know, man. But basically, you know what I'm saying, like just being afraid and not understanding what someone's going through, right? Or maybe just not understanding their perspective. I think can go along. It can go a long way to what's happening today now, right? Again,
Yeah.
what happened with Mr. CK, right? That
Yeah.
it could have been prevented, right? Because again, he grew up in a background that again, I don't live in Utah, right? So I can't speak for the people that live there, but from what I'm hearing on the media, it's more of a conservative state. Most
Yeah.
it's a
It
red
is
state,
because it's part of the Bible Belt. That's why Utah
yeah,
is a very religious state.
which is crazy that you would think that something like that would not happen to CK in that area, but it did, right? It happened to that,
Mhm.
and the person that did it came from a very Christian family. From what we're hearing, his dad is a retired police officer or marshal, whatever. Now
Mhm.
a pastor or has something to do with the church, right? So you would think like, hey, like with somebody that kind of grew up in with with that kind of background, like how could he do such a thing, right? Like how could something like this
Mhm.
happen? But at the same time, okay, like maybe something happened that we don't know about, which I'm sure we're gonna find out, right? During
Yeah.
whatever trial that's gonna put him to death, probably. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, right? But we're gonna find out the details. But we'll see what happens. I'm hearing that he's not, from what one of my other buddies' friend, again, that's just hearsay, that he's not being cooperative and he's not wanting to talk to.
Yeah. No, he's not.
So
They made that pretty clear. So like
yeah.
whatever in this
Yeah.
investigation they have, they've gotten it from
Mhm.
his friend who has opened up his Discord DMs to
The
let.
roommate, right? It's not just his friend; it's his roommate. Him, roommate, correct or no?
Well, the speculation right now, from what I'm hearing, I don't take it until it's actually proven
Yeah.
in court. So we'll have to see
Hmm.
what plays out. But like one of the things that's kind of coming up is like what you mentioned about his background, his father, his
Yeah.
family, they're religious, but they're saying is that he has a lifestyle that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
frowned upon from the religion, and so it's hidden. His roommate is the person that he's involved with. The
Yeah.
roommate is transgender, and the
Correct.
roommate is transitioning to a woman. That's what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm going to tell everyone out there, until it's brought up in court, until
Yeah.
like the DA and the representing attorney for the suspect brings this stuff to
Yeah.
light and shows evidence and proof, we can't say that that's true or not. We don't know
Yeah.
if he swings on that side of the plate. If it does, it would make sense because of again the rhetoric that has been said at
Yeah.
his speeches, and of course being in a state like Utah that's religious and it's frowned upon, that
Hmm.
lifestyle could easily twist someone's mind. Like you got to remember, you're a product of your environment,
Hmm.
and so if your environment frowns upon that stuff and all you want to do is just live the way that you want to live, okay, fine, live the way that you want to live. Like when you
Yeah.
have somebody who says things, that could just be the thing that triggers. And I mean, we're born capable of doing terrible things. People got to understand. That's when you think about religion and stuff like that, that's one of the reasons why
Hmm.
Jesus was crucified. For the original sin that we had on ourselves, it lifted us
Hmm.
off that original sin, allowing those that were damned to basically be redeemed. And but we are born of doing capable, very, very, very bad capable things. We can
Yeah.
hurt one another or we can love one another. We have that choice, that ability. So, I'm not trying to pass sympathy for what the guy did. I think that's really messed up what he did, and no one should ever have the right to take somebody else's life. Yeah, but I think a lot of people have like these things they want to say, like he's this or he's that, and it's like, look,
Hmm.
I'm all about facts. So let's just let the
Yeah.
DA investigate, do their job. Let's let his attorneys build a proper defense for him. Let it go to court and let it weigh out in court, and then we can make up our own minds. And even if we all come with like 18 different reasons why this guy did it, so what? The
Mhm.
action is done. Like
Yeah.
let's respect his wife, let's respect his children, let's respect his close friends and family. Let's not desecrate his memorials, his tributes to him or whatever. You don't like him, fine, you don't like him. You see a mural, walk the other way. You don't have
Yeah.
to go and deface it. I mean, I always say, put yourself in their shoes. If you went out like that and someone did a mural for you, would you want someone to come in and vandalize it? If the answer is no,
Yeah.
then don't do it to somebody else. Like, be better than the next person is what I would say. But yeah, I really have to get going because I got to pick up
Yeah.
my kids
No.
from school.
Sounds good,
I
man. Thanks
had a
again.
lot of fun. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, man. I mean, I know we can talk a lot about tech, and when we're on the Deathlock podcast, we can definitely get into heated debates when it comes to wrestling. But talking about what's going on in life, not just personally, but things that
When's your
are
next day off?
for now. I think it's Thursday. Let me double check my schedule. I think it's Thursday, but I could be wrong. Hold on, because I was
Because
supposed
I
to be
do
off
want to.
tomorrow.
Yeah, but you're going in, but you just got to find
Yeah,
out what time you're going in. If you're
yeah, it's
off
Thursday.
Thursday,
Yeah,
okay,
it's,
cool.
it's Thursday. Yeah.
Let's do. I wanted it because I was going to tell you this too before I left. But if
Mhm.
we could do an episode on DLP, I want to focus
Ooh, excuse me.
on the Mysterios. I want to talk about
Oh yes,
Dominic's recent
Dominic.
recent
Yeah,
victory. Yeah, but like also
double
Ray
champ Dom.
Ray had to crown his son, and then
Yeah,
what Ray posted on Facebook.
yeah, yeah.
It's
No,
like,
I saw the post. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We can get
I want
into
to
that.
focus on that. That
Sounds
and,
good.
and the WrestlePalooza
Oh yeah,
predictions.
yeah, for
All
sure.
right.
Okay, sounds
Set
good,
it up
buddy.
Thursday, same
Yeah.
time.
Oh yeah, sounds good. That'll definitely go down. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And to everyone out there, love one another, respect one another,
Hmm.
agree to disagree, find common ground, quit being sensitive about things, focus
Yeah,
on things that matter, just be a better person overall. We need to get back to a
correct.
place of that. And yeah, it's okay to have individual thoughts.
Yeah, let's
We
remove
won't.
hate. Let's eliminate the word hate, and let's try to just understand. Let's try to understand. I think that's the word I want to
Yeah.
go with. Also, understand what other people's thoughts, opinions, why they think that way. And you don't have to agree with it, like Tito was saying earlier, but just
Yeah.
try to understand it and understand why they believe in something that they believe in, whether it be politics or whether it be their religion, etc., like that. Understand it. Again, like I said,
Yeah.
you don't have to, and try to learn, right? Learn as much as you can. Why is it they think this way? Why don't I think that way, right? Try to understand
Yeah.
why.
Definitely. Be
Learn more about
open.
yourself. Yeah.
Be open about things, but also understanding is both ways. So don't force
Mhm.
somebody to try to understand you, but you not try to understand them. You know what I mean? It goes both
Yeah.
ways. Just be a good person. Simple as
Mhm.
that. Like just chalk it up to that. Just be a good person. And
Yes, sir. Well, I guess we'll go ahead
with
and
that,
close out.
yeah, we'll leave you guys. And iPhone 17, Pixel 10. Put in the comments which one you guys would choose.
If you watch this far, right? If
If
you
you
watch this
watched it
far.
this far.
Yeah, you already know that me and Tito copped the Pixel 10 series phones, but will we be
Yeah,
getting the new iPhone series phones
had to.
now?
Yeah,
Will
I'll
I
eventually
will
get an
I be
iPhone.
pre-ordering? Will I be pre-ordering the new iPhone? I probably will pre-order just the regular iPhone because I don't know if I want to spend that much, and I'll probably trade in my iPhone 13 Pro. So we'll see what happens with that.
If you do that, hit me up on the chat. Let me know because I would
Yeah, I
love
will.
to see just you do videos and also comparing them.
Yeah.
Definitely compare them, man. That would be pretty awesome.
Sounds
And the
good,
13
boss.
Pro Max to your 10 Pro.
Oh yes. Before I get rid of this phone, I'll try to make a couple videos on that, on
Yeah.
the 13 Pro Max or the 13 Pro versus the Pixel 10 Pro. So we'll see what's up with that.
All right, to everyone out there, you guys be good and be safe, and we'll see you in the next one.